The clash between Naruto and Sasuke had ended, leaving Naruto unconscious on the ground. Sasuke, despite his anger, chose not to finish him off, not that he could have, with a silent guardian keeping watch from the cliffs above. Unbeknownst to him, Itachi and Kasame were also observing closely, ensuring Sasuke wouldn't disrupt Akatsuki's long-term plans by killing Naruto. As Sasuke walked away, Kasame stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Naruto's motionless form. It was the perfect chance to capture the Ninetales without a fight, avoiding the inevitable chaos Naruto would unleash if provoked. Kasame, don't. We were ordered only to monitor. The time isn't right to take the Ninetales host. You can see for yourself how drained he is, Itachi warned, his voice calm but sharp, halting his partner from acting recklessly. I've seen his weakness, but I've also seen his potential, Kasame countered, determination etched in his tone. One day, he'll surpass us in strength. I'd rather not suffer later when he's powerful enough to fight back. Now is the moment to strike while he's vulnerable. If that's how you see it, fine. But understand, if this fails, the consequences fall solely on you, Itachi responded, his Mangekyo sharing and beginning to swirl as he prepared to eliminate Kasame if necessary. Before either could move, a figure suddenly descended from above, stirring up a dense cloud of dust. As it cleared, a tall man appeared, easily 185 to 190 centimeters, with snow-white hair, a lean frame, and piercing icy blue eyes that seemed to glow with hidden power. Draped in a pristine white cloak resembling Akatsuki robes, he radiated an unsettling aura. I won't allow you to harm him, the man declared, gesturing toward Naruto. Then we'll just kill you first, old man, Kasame snarled, unsheathing his blade. I wanted to avoid this, but you've chosen your path, the stranger replied, sorrow lacing his voice. Kasame charged, swinging his massive sword in a deadly arc. Yet the old man conjured a weapon seemingly from nothing, an unfamiliar broadsword still sheathed, its ancient design unlike anything either Itachi or Kasame had seen across the nations. With a single unsheathing motion, the blade released a shockwave that cracked the rocky ground beneath them, forcing both Akatsuki members off balance. Itachi swiftly hurled kunai, but the stranger deflected them effortlessly with the sword's flat side before advancing toward Kasame again. Kasame countered by summoning a towering wall of water, nearly 10 meters high, crashing down like a tsunami to crush the man. But the stranger vanished, reappearing behind Kasame, landing a single strike that hurled him 50 feet away, blood spraying from his mouth. Itachi retaliated with his great fireball technique, only for the man to vanish once more, reappearing behind him. Itachi narrowly ducked, sweeping his leg in defense, but the man leapt high, summoning an even greater torrent of water, 3 times Kasame's, without weaving a single sign. A simple wave of his hand directed the flood, threatening to engulf both Akatsuki. Kasame countered with water release, tide reversal, forcing the torrent back, but his chakra reserves plummeted against the stranger's overwhelming command of the water. The man himself felt his own kai pushed, but unlike chakra, it replenished quickly, and his reserves of kai, chakra, kai, and mana were virtually endless. His only concern was avoiding harm to Itachi, whom he knew could one day aid his young master. As the clash escalated, Itachi again used Great Fireball, hoping to maintain his cover without killing the stranger. But before the flames reached him, the man's eyes blazed blue, releasing a shockwave that shattered the fireball, evaporated the flood, hurled both Akatsuki away, and fractured the terrain for hundreds of meters. "You've forced me to awaken my eyes," the man said evenly. "The last time I used them was a century ago, against a demon of immense strength. Now you're in serious trouble." With a single word, gravity, the pressure around Itachi and Kasame multiplied 100-fold, collapsing the ground into a massive crater. Their bodies shook under the crushing weight, battered with bruises and broken bones. Yet what disturbed Itachi most was how his sharing-in resonated with the man's power, as if some forgotten memory buried in his blood recognized it. Kasame roared and charged again, but the stranger rose into the air, floating effortlessly. His blade glowed with the same azure light as his eyes as he uttered, "Wind." A colossal wind slash tore across the battlefield, nearly bisecting both Akatsuki. Only Itachi's lightning speed saved them. "It's been ages since I've enjoyed a fight this much," the man grinned, almost madly. Not since sparring against Hashirama Senju himself. You lie, no one could live that long. And Hashirama defeated even Madara Uchiha. How could you possibly survive against him? Kasame stammered. Madara was gifted but arrogant, blind to his limits. Hashirama trained relentlessly, unlocking a fraction of the true power within would release. The closest a mortal ever came to godhood, the man explained calmly. What do you mean by true power of wood release? Itachi pressed, stalling while readying Tsukiyomi. Among all nature transformations, wood release holds divine potential, the spark of a god's strength within it, the stranger said. Tsukiyomi, Itachi whispered, yet before it could take hold, the man countered instantly. Reversal! Itachi crumpled, trapped within his own illusion. Kasame seized the moment, striking the man and cutting deep into his shoulder. But the figure dispersed into white smoke, reforming unharmed behind a boulder. Blood trickled from the wound, yet his strange blood evaporated upward, releasing crushing pressure and searing heat, remnants of battles with ancient demons. Yin-yang, healing of the damned, he intoned. Pure, untainted yin and yang energy swirled in his palms, closing his wound instantly. Before he could move again, a tidal surge shattered the boulder, encasing him in water, threatening to drown or crush him. But when his eyes opened once more, golden light poured forth. Gate of Dawnlight open, a voice not entirely human boomed. A radiant aura erupted, vaporizing the water, melting stone into magma and cloaking the man in blazing light. Kasame, horrified, tried to flee, but the figure appeared instantly before him, striking with such force he was driven deep into the ground, his body scorched. In a flash, the man dashed toward Itachi, placing his glowing hand on his forehead. Awaken! Itachi's eyes opened, not those of a tortured prisoner, but of someone gently freed from a dream. You could have left me there a bit longer, he muttered. Had I done so, your mind would have remained trapped forever. My chakra is vast, your desires would have consumed you until you could never wake, the man replied. So why protect him? Why interfere with us? Itachi questioned. My only purpose is to guard my young master, the man answered firmly. You mean Naruto? Itachi asked, startled. Yes. He is among the last of the Otsutsuki bloodline, and the only one born with the gift, the stranger revealed. The Otsutsuki, as in the clan of the Sage of Six Paths, Itachi pressed, intrigued. Correct. Yet even before Hagoromo, their lineage carried unmatched strength. Over time, the clans splintered, the Senju, Uchiha, Hyuga, and later the Uzumaki. Of them, the Uzumaki retained the closest tie to their origin, excelling in sealing arts and carrying the potential for the gift. Naruto embodies that legacy, but what the gift truly is, that secret is not mine to share, the man finished. So, will you at least share your name? Asked Itachi. Another time, perhaps, but not right now, the elder replied. Tell me, are you skilled in medical ninjutsu? I know a few techniques. Why? Itachi questioned. Because I may have gone a little too far with your companion. Bring him here. Only my abilities can mend wounds inflicted by the radiance of the dawn. The old man answered in a slightly embarrassed tone. And besides, I need to hear from you why he still draws breath. Itachi said nothing and departed, retrieving Kasame's body. 10 minutes later he returned, finding the old man floating cross-legged in meditation, suspended 3 feet in the air. Old man, I've brought him, Itachi stated. I was aware the moment you arrived, the elder replied, as he descended smoothly to the ground. He moved toward Kasame's unconscious figure, placing his hands over the torn part of Kasame's robes. Beneath lay scorched flesh and even blackened organs. His survival was nearly impossible. Yin-yang release, restoration of the damned, the old man intoned. His hands glowed with radiant halos of yin and yang energy as he pressed them against Kasame's abdomen. The severe burns and internal damage faded, leaving only cracked ribs and a heavy scar across his midsection. Sadly, to truly reverse the destruction caused by the dawn's light requires more energy than I am willing to spend on your partner here, the elder remarked. Take him and go. Kakashi Hadake is leading a squad of ANBU in this direction, and it would be inconvenient if they discovered you here. As Itachi and Kasame departed, the old man cursed under his breath. Kakashi had already caught a glimpse of them, but there was no time to intervene. The wheels of fate had begun turning, and without a true master to guide them, Events could not be undone. Kakashi Hadake, meanwhile, was enduring a taxing time, and for him that was saying a lot. First Orochimaru attacked the village, then Sasuke had vanished, taken or left willingly, no one knew. With no experienced ninja available, the mission to retrieve him had fallen to a group of rookies. Against all odds, they succeeded, likely thanks to Naruto's influence. When Kakashi arrived at the Valley of the End, he spotted two missing nin leaving the battlefield. For an instant, he thought he saw a third figure clad in white, but the vision vanished as quickly as it came. Residual Ninetales chakra lingered heavily in the air, readings spiking off the charts. That could only mean the seal had loosened enough for Naruto to access its power. Kakashi suspected this had been Minato's plan all along, to give his son the means to fight the masked man. Soon, he discovered Naruto unconscious at the base of the valley, with a white-coated figure kneeling beside him. The old man knelt before his young master's prone form. The boy had the potential to surpass all who came before him, but his childish innocence would need to be shed if he were to withstand the trials ahead. He felt Kakashi flicker closer, the man's anxiety for Naruto radiating like a storm. "Step forward, Kakashi Hadake. I intend no harm to you or to your sensei's son," the elder said softly. "How did you notice me? I masked my chakra," Kakashi responded, kunai raised. "There are more ways to sense a person than chakra alone," the old man replied calmly. "And to save time, yes, I know he is Minato and Kushina's child. I was there the night of his birth. My hands were bound then, but today I can act." "How badly is he hurt?" Kakashi asked, feeling honesty in the man's tone. "Just drained with some emotional scarring, nothing permanent," the old man assured. "Yang release. Rejuvenation," he whispered, passing his glowing palms over Naruto. Kurama stirred uneasily inside its cage, recognizing a power older and greater than itself. "That will suffice. Take care of him, Kakashi Hadake," the elder instructed before vanishing. "Wait!" Kakashi called, but the man was already gone. 3 days later, inside Konoha Hospital, Naruto, a voice echoed within his mind. Not now, Jiji, let me sleep a bit longer," Naruto mumbled. "I am not Hiruzen, Master Naruto," the voice responded. Naruto's eyes widened within his mindscape. "Who are you then?" "My identity will be revealed in due time. For now, know that I am your guardian," the voice answered. "That's so cool. How are you doing this?" Naruto asked, excited. "This is merely a fragment of my strength, shaping pure yin energy to reach another's dreams and thoughts. A minor ability of mine," the voice explained. "Awesome, can you teach me how, please?" Naruto pleaded. "You will learn, my young master. Unlike me, your only barrier will be imagination itself," the voice replied. "Why do you call me master?" Naruto asked curiously. "Because you are. I have served your bloodline for generations, long before its decline," the voice revealed. "So, what, that makes me royalty or something?" Naruto asked. "You will learn everything when we meet. For now, I must warn you, there is a plot within the village to exile you," the voice said gravely. "What? Why would they do that?" Naruto blurted out. "Because of the Ninetales. They fear what they cannot comprehend, and what they fear they seek to destroy," the voice replied. "I don't care," Naruto said coldly. "Finally, I'll be rid of them. Don't condemn all for the sins of a few. There are good people in Konoha, though those against you hold the power right now. Do not worry, if matters worsen, I will take you under my protection," the voice reassured. "Thanks," Naruto whispered as he drifted back to waking. At the same time, in the Hokage's office, Tsunade Senju, newly appointed Hokage, prepared for her first council meeting. She knew it would be difficult. The old man had already warned her of the council's intent to expel Naruto. He was the reason she accepted the position, and she wasn't about to allow it. Entering the chamber, she noted the unusual sight of the full council present, both shinobi and civilian members. Normally, many of them found excuses not to attend, but today their presence meant this was a matter of great importance. "Greetings, gentlemen. I'm honored to have such a full assembly for my very first council session," Tsunade said, feigning ignorance. "The honor is ours, Lady Hokage. However, we bring forward a matter that threatens the safety of our village," announced Kusumoto Hirokumi, a wealthy merchant who believed she was unaware of their scheme. "What matter is this? Shizune, have you heard anything?" Tsunade asked with mock surprise. No, Lady Tsunade, Shizune replied. This arose only recently, Kusumoto said smugly. It concerns the demon child. Evidence shows he nearly unleashed the Nine Tails at the Valley of the End. Then it only means his father's seal should be reinforced. I fail to see where the danger lies. Tsunade replied coolly, stirring murmurs among the council. But Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki were seen departing the valley. We believe they seek the boy. The wisest course is to banish him to protect Konoha, Kusumoto pressed, smirking. By that logic, we should exile every skilled shinobi, including you, Kusumoto, since there is an assassination contract on your head. That contract belongs to the Akatsuki, of which Itachi and Kasame are members. Tsunade shot back. Several clan heads nodded in agreement, while others shouted in outrage. That is not the same. The boy risks releasing the Nine Tails, unlike the rest of us. Kusumoto retorted angrily. And I already told you, the seal can be renewed. Did you not understand me the first time? Tsunade said sharply, barely restraining her temper. He is a demon, one civilian council member cried, while most of the shinobi remained silent. He is a container, nothing more, and even if he were what you claim, the decision is mine. He is a shinobi, and I am Hokage, Tsunade declared, a vein throbbing on her forehead. Then let us vote. All in favor of exiling Naruto Uzumaki, raise your hands, Kusumoto declared. 3/4 of the chamber complied. A majority, yes, but you forget, I hold absolute authority over the shinobi forces, greater even than their clans. I did not ask for a vote, Tsunade said icily. Kusumoto Hirokumi, you are under arrest for undermining the Hokage's authority. Your assets are seized and will now serve the village. Any objections? 2. ANBU hauled Kusumoto away as he screamed. Danzo observed silently, admiring Tsunade's decisive action, but her move interfered with his own plan to recruit Naruto for root. Still, he had contingencies. Since we now lack a member, I appoint my apprentice, Shizune Tadamasa, to this council effective immediately, Tsunade announced, drawing loud protests from the chamber. If I didn't know better, I'd think you were trying to reshape the council into a group that answers only to you, Hayashi Hyuga remarked, his voice carrying a faint trace of amusement. I'm simply replacing a retired member with someone more fitting for the position, and who could be better suited than one I've personally trained. Tsunade replied in a sweet, almost playful tone that sent chills down the spines of everyone present. Very clever of you, Lady Hokage. If that concludes today's matters, I have urgent affairs to deal with, Danzo said as he rose to his feet. Yes, we're finished here. This meeting is adjourned, Tsunade announced with a wave of her hand. The assembled council members filed out of the chamber, murmuring amongst themselves about the sudden shift. 3 hours later, in a cavern along the border of the Land of Fire and the Land of Iron, an elderly man appeared from nowhere, the air rippling around his form. He lowered himself onto a boulder, letting 2 oval-shaped jewels, each the size of a human eye, slip from a bleeding wound in his arm into a small metal container before restoring them to his body. Damn brat, because of him I lost my favorite cloak, the man muttered. He then whispered, yin-yang, divine restoration. A golden glow enveloped his arm, closing the punctures and purging the venom within before it could overwhelm him and trigger a destructive outburst that might have shattered the entire mountain. You truly haven't changed, Takagi, came a disembodied, echoing voice. Takage's eyes widened. Impossible, you're supposed to be dead, unless I learned to transcend time itself. And I did, though I only discovered the method moments before my death, the voice replied as its owner stepped forward, revealing gray skin and horns. Hagoromo, it's been ages, Takagi said as he embraced him. Indeed, sensei. My brother wanted to greet you as well, but he's still sulking over the fact that he left his eyes inside the vessel and now must rely on his other senses. Hagoromo explained, only to be knocked slightly off balance by an invisible surge of force. I heard that, came another voice, nearly identical but deeper. That's the curse of having a brother who's ascended. He can still smack me around from another plane, Hagoromo grumbled. I heard that too, the deeper voice added, sending another wave of force. You two still haven't matured, Takagi said with hearty laughter. It's the only thing keeping us sane after 1,000 years, Hagoromo replied. But tell me, what need do you have for a pair of renegon jewels? I intend to bestow them upon Naruto Uzumaki, the successor to the Emperor's gift, Takagi answered. So it has finally happened. And to think we assumed him to be merely Asura's reincarnation, Hagoromo said thoughtfully. In that case, my brother and I must grant him our powers sooner than planned. He won't truly need your strength once his own awakens, Takagi warned. Perhaps, but this has always been my mission, to find Asura and Indra's reincarnations who could shatter the cycle of hatred. For that, they must each inherit half my power, Hagoromo insisted. Then wait until he matures enough in his training before burdening him with it, Takagi ordered firmly. His innate potential already surpasses anything you and your brother could combine, but he's still young and inexperienced. Of course, sensei. I was always the responsible one, Hagoromo replied. That's not true, remember Nishikawa, Hemura Otsutsuki's voice interjected. Be quiet, Hagoromo snapped. Make me, Hemura retorted. Hagoromo vanished, and Takagi could have sworn he heard them bickering like children again, just as they had when he first trained them to wield their gifts. He had been tasked with guiding chosen heroes of the Emperor to consume the Shinju's fruit, but Kaguya's theft of it barred her from that title, despite her imperial bloodline. 3 days after the council meeting, in Konoha, Danzo observed quietly as clan heads and members of the civilian council debated how to eliminate the so-called demon child. Though their plotting worked in his favor, placing a Jinchuriki under Root's control, he was wary of the new Hokage. Unlike Hiruzen, she showed no hesitation in dealing with dissenters. Kusumoto's execution for treason proved that well enough. If he wanted this to succeed, he'd need to intervene directly. Gentlemen, Danzo said, stepping from the shadows, I may have a solution to your little dilemma. Danzo, I thought you remained neutral in such matters, said Minamoto Hatsune, leader of the Hatsune clan, a small but ambitious family of skilled swordsmen eager to expand their influence after the Uchiha's downfall. Consider it self-preservation, Danzo replied coldly. The Hokage won't harm us. She still requires our clans and our funding, Asaki Ryu, Konoha's third-richest man, scoffed. You fools, Danzo sneered. You're not dealing with Hiruzen anymore. Tsunade is Tobirama Senju's granddaughter. She inherited his ruthlessness. Then what course do you suggest? Minamoto pressed. We appeal to the only authority above the Hokage, Danzo answered. The daimyo, he wouldn't care. The Hokage has never failed him, Minamoto argued. He will care if we present it correctly, Danzo smirked. We'll portray the boy as a threat to the village, his battle with the Uchiha and the Ninetales release being prime evidence. But if the Hokage vouches for him, the daimyo will believe her, Asaki countered. Not if the boy is blood-related to her, Danzo said, his smirk widening. What do you mean? Minamoto asked suspiciously. Danzo explained, the Uzumaki were allies of the Senju. The first Hokage married Mito Uzumaki. What many don't know is that Kushina Uzumaki was Mito's niece, making Naruto and Tsunade cousins. The room went silent. So we could have him banished, but securing the daimyo's decree would take years, Minamoto reasoned. Not if you know the right people. With the proper connections, we could have it in less than a month, Danzo said. Of course, it will require significant funding. I trust our esteemed colleagues will contribute. Yes, we'll pay any price to rid our children of that menace, Nakashima Yoringa, Konoha's second richest man, declared. Excellent. Gather 5 million ryo within the week. With that, the daimyo will sign the boy's banishment order in under a month, Danzo declared before vanishing, leaving the conspirators to their plotting. As he departed, Danzo chuckled at their ignorance. An audience with the daimyo cost barely 1 million ryo. The fools had just guaranteed Root's survival, and more importantly, his acquisition of the Ninetales' power. The next morning, outskirts of Konoha, Naruto had waited 3 days for this meeting. Finally, he would see the old man in person instead of through dreams. Arriving at the clearing the old man had described, he looked around at the trees and the wildlife, but saw no sign of him. Eventually, Naruto sat cross-legged and began meditating as he'd been taught. The tranquility of the clearing made it feel natural. An hour later, the tip of a kunai pressed against his back. Acting on instinct, Naruto dove forward, spinning to kick behind him, but his strike hit only empty air. He rolled back onto his feet, kunai in hand, only to find the weapon that had touched him floating midair. Good reflexes. Against anyone stronger than a Chunin, though, you'd already be dead, the old man said from a tree branch above. So you're the old man, Naruto said cautiously. Indeed. Now we must prepare you to hold your ground against a cage-level foe, the old man replied. Awesome. So what are we starting with, some flashy ninjutsu or brutal taijutsu? Naruto asked eagerly. No. We start with history, the old man said, landing gracefully before him. Naruto groaned. Seriously, why history? Because you must understand your lineage and the power you've inherited, the old man explained. Naruto's eyes lit up. So, what kind of power do I have? You carry the most extraordinary gift of all, the Emperor's gift, the old man declared, raising a hand to silence Naruto's questions. Its origin traces back to your ancestor, Otsutsuki, 45 centuries ago. Otsutsuki. I've never heard of them, Naruto admitted. To shinobi, they're known as the Sage of Six Paths family. Long before that, however, they ruled as emperors over these lands, and much more beyond, the old man revealed. So, does that make me royalty? Naruto asked hopefully. No. The gift lives on in you, but the empire itself vanished 1,500 years ago when the last emperor chose death, ending the line of rulers with the gift, the old man said solemnly. Choose to die? Naruto questioned. That's right. One who bears the gift can only perish if and when he decides so. However, that isn't your true ability, just a side effect of your actual power. We'll discuss that later, the old man responded. Then keep talking about this Otsutsuki clan, Naruto insisted. Your forebear, Otsutsuki, was the very first to awaken the gift. She despised the endless bloodshed and dreamed of ending conflict to bring unity across the lands, which at that time were torn apart by constant wars among the ruling families, the old man explained. To achieve this, she gathered like-minded followers and established the Gamer Corps, using her immense strength. Our ability allows us to live as though life were a game, and the most valuable skill was called Dungeon Creator. With it, we formed pocket realms for training, allowing our strength to soar until we eventually put a stop to the wars. In the end, Araki was chosen as the first empress. Over time, gamers realized they could bend the rules of their powers. From the most gifted of them, a secret division was born. I myself was known as the greatest rule bender of my generation, serving as the personal assassin and bodyguard to the last emperor. Before his passing, he granted me immortality and tasked me with guiding the next emperor, the old man finished. So that makes you my teacher? Naruto asked. Exactly. Now about your true ability. The emperor's gift is actually rather simple, the old man said, producing a scroll. It allows you to draw objects and powers from fiction into reality. For instance, this scroll holds the description of a crystal containing the gamer's power. You could pull it out, break it, and gain that ability for yourself. Every emperor must possess it. And how do I do that? Naruto asked. That part I cannot tell you. The last emperor said all you had to do was place your hand into the scroll and let instinct guide you, the old man answered. Very helpful, geezer, Naruto muttered. My name is Takagi. As long as we train together, you will address me as Takaga-sensei or simply sensei, Takagi said firmly. Yes, sensei, Naruto replied as he tried to place his hand inside the scroll, failing each time. For 3 long hours, Naruto repeatedly attempted, but his efforts met with no success. Frustrated, he slammed his fist against the scroll, and in that moment of anger something clicked. Instead of bouncing off, his arm sank inside the parchment. His hand touched a mound of gemstones, and he pulled one out. The gem he held was almond-shaped, nearly the size of his palm, radiating immense energy. Its deep violet glow pulsed with raw power visible even to the naked eye. As he held it, Naruto began to see the world differently, every being displayed a level above their head, yet his own only read level. As if the emperor's gift defied measurement. Recalling Takaga's words, Naruto clenched the gem until it shattered easily, releasing its energy into him. His body surged with newfound strength. He tested the dungeon creator ability, and a panel appeared. Name your dungeon and select dungeon level. Naruto declared, Chakra Training Dungeon, then mischievously added, Level 100. The next instant, he faced a towering beast, A colossal bear formed of blue chakra, towering like the Nine Tails itself, marked Chakra Bear LVL. 991. The creature roared and lunged. Naruto tried to flee, but the bear's massive paw struck him, sending him flying and shattering nearly every bone in his body. As the beast closed in to end him, a dome of azure energy appeared, repelling the strike and throwing the monster back. Takagi emerged, unsheathing his blade, the Sword of Nightmares. With a single swing into thin air, the gigantic bear collapsed in two halves. Takagi pulled Naruto out of the dungeon. Though dying inside a dungeon wasn't permanent, one simply revived immediately. The pain was excruciating, and Naruto was too young to endure it. Using a powerful technique, yin-yang, restoration of the empire, created by the first empress to overcome her immunity to others' powers, Takagi healed Naruto. His bones realigned with audible cracks, restoring him completely. Seeing Naruto unconscious, Takagi decided the time had come. He retrieved 2 gems from his inventory, placed them on Naruto's eyelids, and infused them. A flash of light transformed Naruto's blue eyes into the glowing lavender of the renegon. Remarkable! Even I couldn't absorb the renegon gems so effortlessly. He shows no pain or resistance at all. Perhaps it's because Hagoromo's blood flows in him, Takagi thought. Time skip. Naruto awoke with a pounding headache. He blinked and saw a vast temple, giant trees, and a roaring waterfall. More shocking, however, was his new ability. He could now perceive chakra itself, even the flow of nature energy. He tried to stand, but his muscles screamed in protest. Take it slow, Naruto. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Your body needs time to adjust, Takagi called from a nearby ledge. 2 days? Tsunade will have ANBU searching for me, Naruto panicked. Calm down. 2 days passed here in this dungeon. Outside, only half an hour has gone by, Takagi reassured. This isn't another bear dungeon, right? Naruto asked nervously. No, this one is specifically for renegon training, Takagi replied. What renegon? Naruto dashed to a pool of water, screaming at his reflection. What did you do to my eyes? Relax, I granted you the renegon. With how reckless you are, you'll need divine power just to survive. You can switch them on and off at will since they're truly yours. No one else can wield them at full potential, Takagi said calmly. Really? Naruto asked, focusing until his eyes returned to their normal blue. So, what do we train first? We'll begin with the Deva path. It carries the greatest destructive might, Takagi said. Time skip. When Naruto and Takagi exited the dungeon, both looked invigorated. Naruto's renegon remained active, per Takagi's advice, so he could adapt to their vision. I'm leaving now. Tomorrow, meet me in the outer path training dungeon. And listen, no dungeon exploring alone, especially above level 10. Understood, Takagi warned with a sharp tone. Yes, sensei, which dungeon tomorrow? Naruto asked. The outer path, you still need to master it, Takagi said before vanishing. Naruto made his way back to the village. Though 12 days had passed for him and Takagi, outside only 3 hours had gone by. Dungeons distorted time, one only aged by real-world time. During this span, Naruto had mastered all 6 paths using shadow clones, excelling especially in the Deva path, reaching levels unseen since the Sage of 6 Paths. He also quickly grasped the Preta path, which allowed him to absorb chakra, even natural energy, on the move. With it, he realized he could achieve Sage mode without summons and maintain it indefinitely. Moreover, he theorized it granted perfect chakra control, potentially enabling him to replicate bloodline techniques, and maybe even convert nature energy into ordinary chakra, an infinite supply. As he approached Konoha's gates, Naruto deactivated the renegon. The world dulled, losing its vibrant color. The guards ignored him as he walked past, but he didn't notice their scornful stares. 2 months later, Danzo was in high spirits. At last, he had secured the decree from the daimyo. Although the process had taken longer than he anticipated, he finally had in his hands the means to create the ultimate weapon for Konoha's protection. With a rare smile on his face, he walked into the Hokage Tower, heading straight to the council chamber where the meeting was being held. Just before entering, he wiped the smile away, replacing it with a stern expression, and stepped inside. The council members, upon seeing him, smirked in anticipation, ready to back him in challenging the Hokage. Yes, Danzo, what brings you here? Tsunade asked flatly. I've come to take part in this council session. Or has my authority as a council member suddenly been stripped away? Danzo replied with mock offense while handing Minamoto a sealed scroll. Of course not. I just assumed you had urgent business to barge in like this, Tsunade said, turning back to the others. Lady Tsunade, we have an urgent proposal to put before you, Minamoto announced. And what might that be? Tsunade asked, clearly unimpressed. A petition to remove the so-called demon child, Naruto Uzumaki, Asaki Ryu declared. I thought this issue was settled 2 months ago, or shall I remind you of what happened to Kusumoto? Tsunade threatened. No one is suggesting that, but for the sake of the village, you cannot let your personal feelings cloud your judgment. Blood ties or not, he remains a threat to us, Asaki pressed. I am being impartial, Tsunade snapped, releasing a wave of killing intent. The daimyo sees things differently, Minamoto countered, presenting the parchment sealed with the daimyo's crest. The daimyo has no authority to exile one of my people. Tsunade roared, her killing intent intensifying to the point that several civilian council members collapsed. True, but he can declare someone a missing nin. And Naruto is now officially listed as one. No village would dare hire shinobi from Konoha if we shelter a fugitive, Minamoto said coldly, tossing the scroll to her. After reading it, Tsunade's killing intent grew so suffocating that only the ninja present managed to stay conscious. With a sharp gesture, she summoned an ANBU. Locate Naruto Uzumaki and escort him out of the village. Lay a single hand on him and you'll answer to me personally, Tsunade commanded. Yes, Hokage-sama, the ANBU answered before vanishing. Wake the others and leave my presence. Except for you, Minamoto Hatsune, you are charged with treason against your Hokage. How do you plead? Tsunade asked icily. Innocent, on what grounds am I a traitor? Minamoto shot back. You deliberately undermine me before the daimyo, and that, by definition, is treason, Tsunade said, signaling 2 ANBU to enter. You're only doing this because you refuse to see the boy exiled, Minamoto accused. Perhaps. But you're still guilty. Take her away, Tsunade ordered. Kakashi Hadake will take her place. Any objections? She asked the council. When none were raised, she nodded. Good, this meeting is dismissed. Outside Naruto's apartment. During the last 2 months, Naruto had mastered his renegon and expanded his abilities through Takage's instruction. He had even defeated Asuras and Devas, gaining their techniques. It was no surprise that he immediately sensed the hostile chakra of the ANBU approaching. 2 masked shinobi, one with a tiger mask and the other with a fox mask, appeared before him in a blur. By order of the daimyo of the Land of Fire, Naruto Uzumaki, you are hereby banished from Konoha, the tiger ANBU declared. On what basis? Naruto demanded. You're a threat to the village, a demon. Isn't that reason enough? The fox ANBU sneered. Not in my eyes, but since I'm unwanted, I'll pack my things and leave, Naruto said, turning toward his door. You won't. As a missing nin, you leave only with what you wear, the tiger ANBU said maliciously. I don't think so, Naruto replied, stepping forward. You just sealed your fate, fire release, fire bullet. The tiger ANBU roared. Naruto instantly teleported away as the blazing sphere struck the wall, shattering it. Activating his renegon, he unleashed lightning release, heavenly artillery without seals, sending 5 streams of electricity surging toward them. The ANBU evaded, countering with more fire techniques. Naruto dodged and whispered an incantation, summoning a colossal firestorm fueled purely by calculation and control rather than chakra. Caught off guard, the tiger ANBU spat out fire release, fire torrent, only for it to intensify the storm further. He was engulfed, left scorched and barely alive, his body charred beneath the remains of his chakra-infused gear. Meanwhile, the fox ANBU evaded, attempting to ambush Naruto, only to strike a clone. The real Naruto, standing atop his building, countered with a golden arrow of light that tore through the ANBU's wind release. 1,000 cutting blades, nullifying it and piercing his chest just below the heart. Naruto calmly entered his home, stored his possessions into his inventory, and teleported to the forests outside Konoha. He staggered slightly upon arrival, cursing his still imperfect long-distance calculations. Step out, Takagi. I sensed you already, Naruto said, sitting in meditation. They actually succeeded in driving you out. Fools, they don't know what they've lost, Takagi growled, sitting across from him. They even tried to kill me with their ANBU, but I handled it, Naruto said. I should raise that village myself, but there are still innocents who don't deserve such punishment, Takagi muttered, barely containing his fury. So, what's next? Naruto asked. Now we make you into the greatest warrior this world has seen since the last emperor, Takagi replied with an ominously sweet tone. Naruto knew it meant endless pain in training. 2 years after Naruto's exile, in the ruins of Uzushiagakure. In that time, Naruto had fully mastered the standard powers of the renegon. The strange thing about the renegon was that it reflected human potential itself. Anything achievable with it could theoretically be done through sheer training, though it would take lifetimes. Only Hashirama Senju and the first Uzukage had ever come close, the latter even discovering a method to permanently seal the Sharingan. Madara was not considered, as his renegon was incomplete. For Naruto, the eyes removed the need for centuries of practice, granting him access to advanced techniques. Through the Preta path, he learned to absorb natural energy while moving, converting it to chakra, and sustaining Sage mode indefinitely. According to Takagi, the renegon's power scaled with the wielder's own strength, making Naruto the only living man capable of wielding Hagoromo Otsutsuki's legendary might. The eyes also allowed him to perform all techniques of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan without any of their side effects. Beyond that, he immersed himself in the study of magic, particularly large-scale spells, rune craft, and magical dueling, though he lacked patience for potions and minor enchantments. As a shinobi, he was already S-rank when combining his renegon and magic, though he preferred not to rely on them completely. Naruto's deepest passion, however, was Fuinjutsu. His Uzumaki blood gave him an affinity for it, while his Namikaze lineage blessed him with speed and precision. He had reached exotic Fuinjutsu mastery, level 15, though progress stalled due to the immense experience required. Still, he refined the Flying Thunder God and even enhanced it, though he had yet to test the improvement. He also delved into creating new techniques. Though the process was tedious, filled with endless calculations, his lineage granted him a natural bonus in developing original jutsu. Already, he had created 3 techniques, one of which could be considered a new Kekkei Genkai. The first was a perfected counterpart to Susanoo, evolving into an elemental release he named Celestial Release. By harnessing mystical energy, not chakra, mana, or kai, he could forge it into armor that enhanced strength, speed, and regeneration. Normally, bloodline limits were impossible to create with the renegon alone, but Naruto discovered that Fuinjutsu could merge elemental chakras and gradually reshape the body's network. Dangerous though it was, capable of tearing the body apart, Naruto endured thanks to healing magic and yin-yang, heavenly restoration. The second ability was considered the pinnacle of sword techniques, a single-strike assassination move capable of bypassing every defense imaginable. Whoever possessed it could, at least in theory, wipe out battalions without suffering even the slightest injury. This technique fell under Kenjutsu, meaning it relied on swordsmanship, and could be performed with any blade crafted from chakra-conductive metal, provided the wielder had enough chakra reserves. The principle behind it was the sword phasing through multiple dimensions at once, allowing it to ignore intangible defenses such as Kamui. The edge of the blade would materialize directly inside the victim's body, typically piercing the heart, frontal lobe, or the junction between brain and spine, bringing instant death. The drawback, however, was that it consumed an enormous amount of energy, limiting its use to individuals with abnormally vast chakra pools. The third technique was a large-scale devastation jutsu, one tailored for wiping out armies. Technically, it was a lightning release ability, but the user only spent minimal chakra to summon storm clouds and amplify the lightning within them tenfold. Once the storm was active, it sustained itself without continuous chakra input. The shinobi needed only small bursts of chakra to guide bolts toward targets within half a mile. The destructive thunderbolts were especially lethal when unleashed on enemy formations, tearing through groups with overwhelming force. Within those 2 years, he gained fame under titles like the Lightning Fox Warrior or the One-Man Army. He had taken on missions most would call suicidal, alone, and always returned alive and victorious. The first nickname came from his application of his father's flying thunder god technique, which he adapted by using senbons inscribed with the sealing formula, combined with his storm-based mass destruction jutsu that he dubbed lightning release. Divine Judgment. The second title came from his absurd ability to create nearly 2,000 shadow clones while still holding reserves on par with several jonin. His tactical use of clones made him appear less like a lone ninja and more like a full military force. Takagi suddenly appeared in front of him using his teleportation skill, his white coat swaying over the armor hidden beneath, an ominous sign. "Naruto, come here at once," Takagi said, his voice edged with concern. "Yes, sensei," Naruto replied, appearing before him in a flash of speed. "It's time for your first Emperor-class mission," Takagi stated. "That sounds like good news, doesn't it?" Naruto asked. "Not exactly. You'll be facing a demon," Takagi answered with a grim look. "Weren't the previous emperors supposed to have eradicated them all?" Naruto questioned. "No. There are too many and wiping them out completely is impossible," Takagi explained. "So this one's particularly dangerous," Naruto pressed. "Medium level but still a threat, and I'm worried about you. You haven't reached immortality yet," Takagi said, giving Naruto a reproachful glare. "I told you already, I'm not interested in becoming immortal," Naruto replied firmly. "It will happen regardless, whether today or centuries later. It's unavoidable," Takagi countered. Yeah, old man. Anything else I need to know about this demon?" Naruto asked with a shrug. "Yes, his name is Morio. He discovered a way to fuse with the negative energy of humanity itself. Although his attempt was only partially successful, it still made him stronger and effectively immortal," Takagi explained. "So, no way to kill him. And I'm not great with seals. Not yet," Naruto said. "His physical body can still be destroyed using the ancient chakra I entrusted to the priests of the land of demons. But since they're ordinary humans, their chakra isn't strong enough on its own," Takagi replied. "So all I need to do is lend them my chakra, and then goodbye demon?" Naruto asked. "No, it's too risky. If the priestess of the land of demons can handle the sealing herself, there's no need to gamble with your safety. Your role will be to escort her to the shrine where the demon's body rests. However, there's a complication," Takagi said. "I didn't expect this to be simple." "What's the issue?" Naruto asked, expression blank. "There's only one priestess left, and her guardians already requested aid from Konoha. A Leaf team is set to meet them tomorrow. Some of the elders still remember me, so they'll allow us an audience to determine who will provide the escort. Honestly, it's more politics than necessity," Takagi admitted, eyes distant. "Good memories," Naruto teased. "A few, but irrelevant to you," Takagi said, shaking off his nostalgia. "Of course it matters. As your emperor, I need to worry about my subjects' well-being," Naruto joked. "Not until you've slain your first god. Even then, I'll decide if you're ready for that responsibility," Takagi smirked. "That's not fair," Naruto pouted. "Life rarely is. Stop whining and return to training," Takagi ordered with a small smile. "Yes, sensei," Naruto said, tossing a smoke bomb at his mentor before vanishing into one of his dungeons. Naruto laughed at Takagi's expression when the bomb went off, though his amusement ended quickly as a massive club swung dangerously close to his head. He dodged, but the near miss made him uneasy, even knowing death inside a dungeon wasn't permanent. Facing him was a 16-foot ogre, gray-skinned, yellow-eyed, its grotesque body clad only in a loincloth. It was a level 53 ogre, deadly if it landed a blow, though painfully slow. Naruto scattered senbons across the battlefield with a hand seal, their positions spread over a wide area. Then he drew his oversized katana, its 150-centimeter blade weighing 8 kilograms, though seals reduced the weight for him alone. He darted around the creature, teleporting effortlessly, waiting for reinforcements. Soon enough, 30 ogres surrounded him. With a clone substitution, Naruto retreated to a tree, formed 6 seals, and summoned his lightning storm. Within seconds, clouds rumbled overhead, and 3 devastating bolts struck, annihilating chunks of the horde. Satisfied, he grinned, his accuracy had improved. But then, a towering ogre with a staff crowned by a crimson skull stepped forward, rage etched on its face. His observe skill confirmed it. Ogre Shaman, level 59, this shaman wields mystical powers and seeks vengeance for its slain kin. Naruto smirked. Perfect. The low-level ogres barely filled half his experience bar. This dungeon was only rank 6, and Takagi had forbidden him from tackling higher tiers until he embraced immortality, or maybe because he cared too much. Either way, it annoyed Naruto, especially since Takagi himself admitted Naruto surpassed almost every emperor before him. Naruto barely avoided a lightning strike as the shaman attacked. "All right, fun's over," Naruto muttered, flashing through seals. Ninja art, piercing blade of truth. His katana shimmered with multicolored light. In an instant, the ogre collapsed, brain sliced internally with no external wound. Moments later, 5 more shamans advanced, hurling fireballs. Naruto dodged, performed the seals again, and called out, "Ninja art. 1,000 piercing blades of truth." His sword glowed, and the shamans fell lifeless, their spines severed. For 30 minutes he clashed against wave after wave of shamans. After one level up, he left, saving the dungeon as a boss-only stage. Takagi had once taught him cheat codes, mental triggers granting advantages, like infinite chakra and stamina. As the chosen emperor's gamer, Naruto had countless ways to bend rules, far beyond what others could access. He rarely used them, fearing they made him absurdly overpowered. Naruto didn't hesitate. He knew he had to work on his speed. Facing an opponent far stronger than most, quickness could mean the difference between survival and death. Not that dying really bothered him much, since he was fairly certain Takagi would just revive him for the sake of mocking him about needing immortality. With that thought, he dumped all 10 points into speed. He wasn't in the mood to mess around with a Ludo board to grind extra points. "It's a relief I finally got rid of that annoying prankster king title," Naruto muttered. "That was a nightmare." Then he smirked slightly. "I should probably stop messing with that Ludo board system. It's what's turned me into this busted monster, especially with chakra and mana regeneration." When he opened his eyes, he spotted Takagi looming over him, holding a scroll with a wicked grin. Before Naruto could react, Takagi dropped it, releasing a disgusting brown gas that reeked horribly. "Takagi, you're gonna regret this," Naruto shouted as he quickly dispelled the foul-smelling smoke. All he got in return was echoing laughter and a note drifting in the wind. "Do as you please until tomorrow. Meet me at the border between the land of fire and the land of wind at 12 sharp." Naruto shrugged. Sounded like a good excuse to go see Gaara. Over the last couple years, he and Gaara had built a close bond, and Naruto was always welcomed to Sunagakure whenever he passed by. During those visits, he and Temari had gotten friendlier, which earned him an awkward warning from both Gaara and Kankuro. Naruto had turned red and stammered, "It's not like I like her like that," which only made them laugh even harder. The next day, border of the land of fire and the land of wind. Naruto appeared in a burst of speed among barren cliffs that marked the border. Takagi was already waiting, clad in the same armor as before and wielding a massive sword resembling Zabuza's, except this one gleamed with exposed silvery mithril. "So, how's your girlfriend?" Takagi teased, smirking as Naruto's face heated. "For the last time, she's not my girlfriend," Naruto yelled. Sure, Takagi replied casually. "Are we starting or not?" Naruto asked impatiently. "Of course, grab my arm." Not that again," Naruto groaned. "You got a better way to reach someplace you've never been?" Takagi shot back with that same smug grin. Naruto scowled but grabbed Takagi's forearm. Immediately, he felt the awful sensation of being squeezed through a tunnel, classic heavenly transportation. It got you anywhere, sure, but unless you were used to it, you were bound to lose your stomach. When the crushing feeling ended, they stood in a large courtyard filled with plants, including small blossoms tucked in bushes. "Those are Emperor's bells," Takagi explained. "I gave them to the shrine keepers here a millennium ago. Lesser demons can't even come within a mile of these flowers. Stronger ones burn if they get too close, since the flowers absorb energy from the Emperor's presence over 3,000 years. Naruto tilted his head. "So, doesn't that mean my weapons or summons might turn into something like that too?" "No, those were deliberately infused with the Emperor's mana. The palace didn't tolerate demons sneaking in, so they designed this safeguard." Takagi pointed at the blossoms. An elderly woman approached and bowed. Naruto used observe and saw her name, Yashimura. Master Takagi, we are honored by your presence, she said. Naturally, Takagi replied. But my apprentice will be handling matters this time. If he is even half as capable as you, then we are in safe hands, Yashimura responded kindly. Unfortunately, the younger council members are unaware of your full strength. That's fine. He'll give them a demonstration, Takagi smirked. His opponent, however, will be Kakashi Hadake. Last I knew, he was an S rank. Naruto cut in. That must be old info, he's A rank now. With more training, he could return to his old peak, maybe even surpass it. Anyway, who's on his squad? A kunoichi named Sakura Haruno, Neji Hyuga, and Rock Lee, Yashimura replied. Naruto grinned. I just wanted to know if any of my friends were there. The elders sighed. Get ready, Takagi ordered. I'm always ready, Naruto answered with a dark grin that made Yashimura shiver while Takagi chuckled. Go meet your friends then. I'll deal with the others. Yes, sensei, Naruto said before vanishing in a blur. He reappeared before Sakura, Neji, and Lee, making them instantly draw weapons, only to nearly drop them when they realized it was Naruto. Naruto, it's so good to see you, Sakura cried, hugging him. Yeah, feels good to see you all again. How have you been? Naruto asked warmly. Still waiting for that rematch, Neji said firmly. And I wish to test my burning youth against you, Lee declared with fiery passion. Get in line, I'm fighting Kakashi first, Naruto smirked. Their jaws dropped. But he's an A-rank jonin. How do you plan to beat him? Sakura asked worriedly. Naruto just grinned. I've got some tricks. They spent an hour catching up, Naruto learning about life in Konoha since his exile and exchanging intel on the Akatsuki's moves. Even though he and Takagi had been watching the organization, they weren't omniscient. Itachi had been useful, but even he didn't know Akatsuki's true objective. Naruto suspected it was something massive. Soon, Kakashi, Takagi, and Yashimura walked toward them from the council chamber, chakra pressure rolling off them. Clearly, the meeting had stirred anger. Kakashi-sensei, great to see you again, Naruto said with a respectful bow. Good to see you too, Naruto. Things have been dull in Konoha without you, Kakashi said, ruffling his hair. Naruto grinned. What can I say? I'm one of a kind. Don't flatter yourself, Kakashi teased. You know Tsunade's been giving hell to the council ever since your banishment. Honestly, I'm shocked she didn't strangle them on the spot, Naruto replied calmly. The council decided on a duel to see who would escort Lady Shin, Kakashi said. I'll try not to hurt you too much. Can't have a council rep show up to meetings covered in bruises, Naruto joked. I hope you know I can take you down any time I choose, Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. I've been training to succeed Lady Tsunade. And yet, you're still A rank. Not your fault, really. You just lack the chakra reserves, plus you've got a blind spot without your Sharingan, Naruto pointed out. Hey, my chakra pool isn't small, it's average, Kakashi protested. For your position, average is small, Naruto countered. Not everyone has the reserves of a tailed beast, Kakashi shot back. You're wrong. Even if you train endlessly, most humans can't reach the chakra levels of a Biju. Uzumaki are an exception. We inherited the massive reserves of the Sage of Six Paths, Naruto explained, shocking everyone except Takagi. You're serious? Kakashi blinked. Completely, Takagi confirmed. The Senju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki clans all trace back to the Sage. Think about it, Naruto added. Where do you think the Sharingan originated? Or the immense vitality of the Senju? Uzumaki are descended from early Senju, though less directly linked. I never considered it that way, Kakashi admitted. Well, here's the thing, even without bloodline perks, enough training might let you achieve those legendary powers. It's possible you could even reach renegon-level strength, and maybe, just maybe, surpass me. Naruto smirked confidently. No reason to be nervous because I'll be the one to defeat you, Kakashi declared. Confident as ever, huh? I figured your father would have taught you some humility, Naruto replied, which left Kakashi visibly startled. How did you discover that? Kakashi asked cautiously. I was studying the seal placed on me and came across 2 chakra traces that weren't connected to the 9 tails. Out of curiosity, I researched them, and after months of effort, about 3 months ago, I managed to craft a seal that could draw that energy out, store it separately, and even sustain it by linking a bit of my chakra to it, Naruto explained in detail. You can imagine my shock when I realized those signatures belonged to Minato Namikaze, the yellow flash, and Kushina Uzumaki, the red death, both carrying chakra nearly identical to my own. Hold on, wasn't Minato Namikaze the fourth Hokage? The one said to have slain the 9 tails? Neji questioned. That's right, Naruto confirmed, leaving everyone stunned. He couldn't bring himself to force another child to carry that burden, so he chose to sacrifice himself and seal the beast into me, his son. To give me strength when needed, he left a fragment of his soul and chakra behind. My seal lets me channel chakra back to them, which links me directly to their spirits in the Pure Land. That way I can speak with them whenever I want. Can you let me talk to him? Kakashi asked almost desperately. Of course, though I'd suggest staying far away from my mother. She'd tear you apart if she knew you still read Ika, Naruto chuckled. Yeah, that definitely sounds like the Kushina I remember, Kakashi muttered. Now, let's take this fight outside the temple. The caretakers won't appreciate their flowers being crushed. What can I say? They're fond of their blossoms, Naruto said lightly, sending a wave of chakra into the ground. In response, countless flowers bloomed at once, leaving the council gaping in disbelief. Soon, they moved outside into a rocky clearing some distance from the temple. After bowing, Kakashi lunged in with surprising speed, but Naruto rolled aside effortlessly. Pulling a handful of senbon, Naruto tossed them high into the air. Flying Thunder God, Carnival Field, he called, the weapons scattering across the area and embedding themselves far apart. A grin spread across his face. You'd better activate your Sharingan, or I might end up hurting you, Naruto warned. I've already seen your father's technique. I know its weakness, Kakashi retorted. You're forgetting one thing, I'm not my father, Naruto smirked, vanishing in a flash of golden light and landing a solid strike in Kakashi's stomach. You'll regret that, Kakashi said as he revealed his Sharingan eye. In an instant, his speed increased and he dashed at Naruto. But Naruto warped away to a tree branch, only to feel a kunai at his throat as Kakashi's clone dispersed in the field. Dodging again, Naruto narrowly avoided a blade crackling with lightning. So, that's his plan, Naruto thought, creating dozens of shadow clones without even forming hand signs. They blinked away in golden flashes, spreading across the battlefield. Forming hand seals, Naruto shouted, Celestial style, Eternal Sky Guard armor. In moments, radiant azure energy encased him, shaping itself into a 3-meter-tall humanoid figure with Naruto at its center. See. The strength of legendary eyes, without needing to possess them, Naruto grinned. A Susanoo copy? Impressive, Kakashi said, weaving seals. Fire-style twin flame spears. Streams of fire roared forward. It may look like Susanoo, but this surpasses it, Naruto replied calmly as the armor absorbed the flames without wavering. Though a little small, don't you think? Kakashi analyzed. I wasn't aiming to destroy mountains, Naruto shot back, flashing forward in azure light. His armored fists slammed into Kakashi, hurling him through several trees. Let's see if your armor can withstand this, lightning cutter, Kakashi charged, thrusting his blade of lightning into Naruto. To his shock, the armor didn't break, only cracking slightly where his fingers sank in. Before he could react, Naruto's knee slammed into him, launching him away. Naruto dove after him with a strike, only for Kakashi to vanish in substitution. Naruto instead shredded several trees with his blow, the sight leaving both the council and his peers speechless. That flaw needs fixing, Naruto muttered as he landed. What flaw? Kakashi asked, wiping blood from his mouth. It was supposed to shrug off your lightning cutter completely, without a mark, Naruto said casually, his armor echoing his shrug. That's already beyond S-rank. If it were perfected, I can't even imagine, Kakashi admitted in disbelief. If you think this is strong, wait until you see me merge it with my Celestial Sage mode. That power makes even the renegon look weak, Naruto remarked, making Takagi groan. Enough chatter. Let's fight, Kakashi declared, pulling out explosive tags. Kamui! The tags warped behind Naruto's armor and detonated, engulfing the area in smoke. For a moment, Kakashi feared he had gone too far. But a sudden gust cleared the haze, revealing Naruto standing tall, his armor scarred but intact. Kakashi-sensei, time to witness the true strength of the Uzumaki, Naruto said, golden flashes forming seals in his armored hand. Impossible, Kakashi muttered at the sight of the armor's resilience. Naruto lunged, but Kakashi evaded with a clone. Spinning midair, Naruto hurled paper seals. Sealing technique. Orb of gravitational binding. Chakra surged through the seals, collapsing the ground into a massive crater. Kakashi reappeared behind him with a shadow clone. Fire style, Phoenix formation, one shouted, hurling fireballs. Lightning style, storm barrage, the clone added, bolts of electricity merging with the flames into glowing orbs. Explosion release, detonation barrage, Kakashi roared, detonating the combined orbs in a blinding blast. When the smoke lifted, only tatters of azure light remained. No Naruto in sight, until he flashed behind Kakashi and struck, only for Kakashi to vanish again. Emerging from underground, Kakashi landed a chakra-fueled punch, sending Naruto flying unconscious. But as he hit the ground, another Naruto, still armored, appeared behind Kakashi, tagging him with a seal that locked his body stiff. The unconscious Naruto vanished, revealing itself as a clone. Dispersing the armor, Naruto approached and placed healing seals, restoring Kakashi's energy and covering his eye. "I think the victor is clear," Yoshimura said to Isui. "Agreed. The boy secures this contract. He will escort Lady Shin to the shrine," Isui declared, walking away. "Well done, Naruto, but what was that armor made from? It didn't seem like ordinary chakra," Neji questioned. "That's my secret," Naruto replied. "Amazing technique, Naruto. The flames of youth blaze brightly within you," Lee shouted with fire in his eyes. "One day I'll challenge you properly." "Same here," Neji said, a faint smile appearing. "Anytime," Naruto nodded, turning to Kakashi, who was now fully recovered. "Thank you for the chakra and seals. That strategy was brilliant," Kakashi praised. "Means a lot coming from someone like you," Naruto smiled. "Not sure about genius anymore," Kakashi muttered, rubbing his head. "Are you sure you don't want backup on this mission?" "I've got it handled," Naruto replied confidently, making everyone's sweat drop. "You'll never change, will you?" Kakashi sighed. "Never. Here, take this seal. When the mission's over, channel chakra into it. It'll bring you to my hideout," Naruto said. "Why?" Kakashi asked. "So me and the old man can restore your chakra reserves and bring you back to true S-rank level," Naruto explained. "Even if my chakra recovers, the Sharingan drains too much. It's always active," Kakashi pointed out. "The old man can fix that. He's a legendary seal master, the highest rank there is. I'm still at exotic seal master level, and I'll need to reach adept mastery before becoming legendary myself," Naruto explained with a confident grin. "Do you actually believe he can be of any use?" Kakashi asked calmly. "Naturally. The last person with the title of a legendary seal master uncovered a method to lock away both the Sharingan and even the renegon. Helping you will be nothing compared to that," Naruto replied with a grin. "Now, I've got to go, can't afford to make a lady wait." With that, Naruto strode into the hall ahead, a smirk tugging at his lips. Within minutes, they stood before a blonde girl whose eerie eyes gave off an unsettling vibe, her very presence radiating arrogance. Naruto studied her briefly before glancing at Takagi. "So this is the haughty blonde we're meant to guard?" Naruto asked mockingly, earning a chuckle from Takagi and Yoshimura, while the rest of the council flushed red with anger. "Show some respect, boy, she is the priestess. Her name is Shin, not whatever insult you just used," one councilman barked, his name not even worth Naruto's memory. "You say Shin, I hear brat," Naruto quipped, noting the faint amusement flicker across Shin's face. "You will die," Shin said flatly, no hint of emotion. "A beast will pierce your chest." "Oh no, terrifying," Naruto mocked, pretending to shiver. "Naruto-sama, heed her visions," Yoshimura warned. "She can glimpse the future." Yeah, I know she sees people's deaths, but here's some bad news for you, priestess. I'm not dying until I reach my goal. Not before I at least meet my nephews," Naruto said, flashing his trademark grin. "Foolish child, my predictions never fail," Shin snapped, finally letting emotion slip. "You remind me of a guy obsessed with destiny until I beat that out of him," Naruto shot back. "My foresight cannot be altered," Shin answered in her usual monotone. Naruto projected a thought into Takagi's mind. "You know, I might actually strike a woman for the first time in my life." Takagi chuckled at the comment. "Just wait, you'll see," Naruto said aloud, sounding almost defiant. Enough of this insult toward the priestess, or we will, one council member began, only for Naruto to cut him off. What? Hire Konoha's squad instead. You won't because you need the best, and that's me. So shut up and let me handle it, Naruto snapped, visibly irritated. Why are councils always a bunch of pompous fools? Naruto, don't stoop to their level, Takagi said sternly, his tone heavy with disappointment. Yes, sensei, Naruto replied, bowing slightly. Good. And if any of you disrespect him again, this land of demons will cease to exist, Takagi growled, his voice briefly taking on a demonic edge. The council members paled and nodded. We'll be retiring to our quarters, Takagi announced, adding as he left, Oh, and we'll be staying in the room right beside the priestess. As they walked down the corridor, Naruto's face was dark with rage. He stormed into their chamber, practically steaming with fury. Once inside, he summoned chakra ink, guiding it into a triangular seal that glowed blue before fading into invisibility. Takagi took a seat, smiling faintly. You handled that well, Takagi commented. Are you sure? Won't the spy grow suspicious we used such an easily intercepted mental channel? Naruto asked. No, only a handful can eavesdrop like that. He'll assume we didn't believe anyone had that ability, making it seem like we were careless, Takagi explained, lighting a pipe filled with a pungent herb that sharpened his thoughts. Guess paranoia's part of being a real shinobi. Not that I really consider myself one, Naruto muttered with a shrug. True. Let's just hope Orochimaru buys into your reckless facade, Takagi said. I still don't get how Orochimaru is more of a threat than all of Akatsuki, Naruto remarked. Because he's a genius. A deranged genius, but brilliant nonetheless. Madness only amplifies his danger, Takagi replied. Yeah, I remember you can predict what a sane man would do, but not a lunatic, Naruto recited mechanically. Exactly, now rest, you'll need it, Takagi said, standing. See you in a few days, Gramps, Naruto said, lying down after weaving a few more precautionary seals. If anything happens, I'll be there, Takagi promised. As if anything out there could hurt me, Naruto scoffed. There are threats, Takagi said grimly. You've completely lost your sense of humor, Naruto pouted. 3 millennia of life will do that, Takagi chuckled. But if you make it through this mission, I'll teach you the ultimate trick, passed down by the Emperor himself. Really? What is it? Naruto asked eagerly. You'll see when the time comes. You already possess cheats beyond most, but this one is something special, Takagi replied before vanishing in a cold, blue flash, the same hue as his eyes. Naruto couldn't help but wonder what powers those eyes granted the old man. Perhaps a great many, considering they could even counter the renegon. Still, he didn't worry. Cheaters were bound by loyalty to their master's bloodline, unable to betray without an emperor's command. They were like ANBU, but more absolute. Eventually, sleep claimed him, until he awoke to the screams of dying men, the stench of scorched flesh, the metallic tang of blood, and massive chakra surges. In an instant, he had his blade in hand and was outside in the courtyard. The sight was grisly. Unlike his usual clean battles where enemies turned to ash, this was slaughter, carried out by those who reveled in blood. They would pay. Naruto saw enemy nin firing flames at guards ensnared by genjutsu. Using Observe, he read their levels. Kusuna 38, Gidai 34, Setsuna 34, Shizuku 34. Not too dangerous, but caution was key. Drawing ink from his inventory, he formed a red-lit circle that expanded into a dome of yellow energy, trapping everyone inside. The enemy charged the barrier recklessly. Idiots, brawlers, not shinobi, Naruto thought before appearing behind Shizuku. With one silent swing, her head was gone. Before blood could stain him, he retreated into a bamboo grove within the grounds. There he produced 100 shadow clones to prepare seals, because while opponents were weak, preparation was a ninja's second rule. The first was swift, silent killing. The 3 survivors pressed back to back, cautious but doomed. Naruto blurred forward, decapitating Gidai with a wind-enhanced slash. The last 2 rushed the seal, but trap papers ignited beneath their feet. Violet flames consumed Setsuna, while another tag absorbed Kusuna. It was finished. Naruto placed special papers on the corpses, reducing them to ash and feeding their knowledge into his mind. His frown deepened. The demon had shared power with them, explaining their frenzied behavior. Ignoring the shocked guards, Naruto strode past as the council arrived, astonished by his display. With a thought, he dispelled the yellow dome, a necessary show to make Orochimaru believe him reckless. "Did you enjoy the show?" Naruto asked, his grin twisted. He had killed 3 men, soon to interrogate another. What reaction did they expect? He moved on, spotting Shin embracing a guard, whispering something. When she turned and saw him, shock painted her face. That guard must have been saved by Naruto. Shin approached, pride swallowed, masking it as shyness. "Naruto, thank you for saving my friend." "His name is Arashi," Naruto interrupted, startling her. "How did you?" Shin asked, wide-eyed. "Because I'm death, the world's end, and I don't tolerate being deceived," Naruto said darkly, scaring her and her guards before laughing. "Relax, I just overheard one of the men call him by name. A shinobi remembers things." "Either way, thank you. Maybe destiny isn't set in stone after all," Shin said, blushing with embarrassment. "Told you so," Naruto replied, slipping easily back into his playful side. "Fine then, see you tomorrow," Shin muttered, turning away with her cheeks glowing crimson from both anger and embarrassment. "All right, but make sure none of your guards follow us," Naruto said casually as he spun around. "And why is that?" Shin questioned, her imagination already spinning out wild scenarios. "I move too quickly. They'd only slow us down. I can carry you on my back if needed, but there's no way I'm carrying an entire escort," Naruto explained as he stepped into his room. Inside, Naruto released Kusuna's corpse from its seal and instantly activated his renegon. He pressed his palm against Kusuna's forehead, summoning the human path ability, Soul Worm. A flood of information surged into his mind while Kusuna's spirit shrieked in agony, though no one without the renegon, or at least a Mangekyo Sharingan, would ever see or hear it. Once done, Naruto let the soul drift to the afterlife. Unfortunately, he hadn't gained much more knowledge than from the others he'd used Soul Worm on. It was the human path's most advanced application he currently knew, pulling out a soul to absorb its knowledge and skills. But Naruto hadn't yet unlocked the skill transfer aspect, and while in theory the ability didn't have to be fatal, so far his uses had always ended that way. He burned the body away with his purple flame sealing tag. That seal was a blessing. It reduced anything it touched to nothing, without smoke, scent, or trace. Not even an Inuzuka hound could have noticed that someone had been reduced to ashes in that room. Lying back on the bed, Naruto's thoughts replayed his spar with Kakashi. He knew he was good, but without the renegon or the fox's chakra, he was nowhere near S-rank level, probably low A-rank at best. Kakashi, even without consistent training, would still easily be a high A-rank shinobi. And yet, when their match ended, Kakashi had looked oddly relieved. It had to do with the stone warriors, actual golems, though everyone else thought they were just clever stone puppets. Better to let them keep believing that. It gave them the illusion that they could still be defeated. Truth was, they were lucky the demon was only half awake. Had it been fully active, that golem army would have been unstoppable by shinobi standards, and the world would already have fallen. So, the spar had likely just been to test Naruto's current abilities, and it seemed Kakashi had been satisfied with what he saw. Naruto had a suspicion it was related to his Flying Thunder god. Amusement park, a modified variation he created because he was progressing too slowly with the original Hurricane. This version allowed him to fight even opponents like Madara or Hashirama, provided he could master it. But he wasn't a true master, not even close. Honestly, he doubted his own father had ever truly perfected it, even though Minato had elevated it from a kenjutsu support skill into a jutsu of mass destruction. Shaking those thoughts away, Naruto cleared his mind. His meditation trick helped him fall asleep faster, shaving an hour off his rest. Within moments, his body gave in, and sleep claimed him. But his dreams were restless, eerily similar to the visions Shin had once warned him about. He woke drenched in sweat at dawn. A simple water technique in the temple's backyard freshened him up. He changed into gear resembling what his father had worn on missions, not to imitate him, but because the attire was best for stealth. Wearing bright orange while facing 1,000-year-old demon was just asking for death, no matter how much it pained him to abandon his favorite color. In the courtyard, Shin waited in a white blouse, brown trousers, and a vanilla-colored coat. At her side stood her protector Toruho and the rest of the council, most of them glaring with thinly veiled anger. Only Yashimura looked calm, though even she carried some unease. "What is this nonsense I've heard about, boy?" sneered one council member. "What, you finally realized that those ugly robes you're wearing are an offense to humanity's eyesight?" Naruto replied dryly. "You little brat," the man began. "Enough, Takeda, stop this foolishness." Yashimura cut him off sharply, her voice commanding instant silence. "He's just a child. You expect him to follow rules he was never even told about. Worse, you treat him like a servant when he's the one who will protect the High Priestess. Show some respect." "Like he deserves it," Takeda muttered under his breath. "Did you say something, Takeda?" Yashimura asked sweetly, with a hint of menace. "No, nothing at all," he stammered. "Then it's settled," Yashimura concluded evenly. "Young Naruto, you may depart for your mission." Then, quieter so only Naruto and Shin heard, she added, "And get away from these idiots." "Climb on," Naruto said, patting his back. Reluctantly, Shin obeyed, gasping as an invisible force bound her securely against him. Naruto vaulted over the temple wall in a single leap, landing far outside. Shin shrieked in surprise, but after a few more giant bounds she grew used to it. As they sped through the forest, Naruto felt a prickle of danger in his gut. Trusting his instincts, he summoned several hundred shadow clones, scattering them across the woods, each ready with sealing scrolls. Shin said nothing, only eyeing the clones before retreating back into thought. Thankfully, his suspicion turned out wrong. Their journey went smoothly, even across the border into the land of fangs. Hours later, as twilight descended, Naruto called a stop. They set camp in a dense forest patch where foliage shielded them from prying eyes. His protective seals layered the area, pushing away intruders with subtle compulsion. Only those with exceptional will could resist. Even then, Naruto would sense them, and he had calculated it would take exactly 32 seconds to evacuate with Shin, and set off enough modified explosive tags to level the site. He unsealed 2 tents, left clones to prepare the camp, and slipped away to meditate and speak with the fox. Within moments, he found a tiny clearing with a tree stump at its center. Flowers dotted the space, though he didn't bother identifying them in the moonlight. Settling cross-legged on the stump, Naruto slowed his breathing and entered his mindscape. It used to be difficult. His vast chakra reserves made it hard to sit still. But ever since Takagi had given him chakra storage seals to offload excess chakra into, Naruto could focus for extended periods, while keeping a backup supply ready if he ever needed it. He felt the tug drawing him inward. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was strange, especially since his goal was learning to project his mind outward, not inward. Still, the mindscape was perfect for self-assessment. It contained all he had learned, his instincts, his reflexes. Though he avoided some areas, like the time he had accidentally tuned into sensations so sharp that even a breeze made him laugh uncontrollably for days. His mindscape resembled an infinite mountain, riddled with caves holding memories, skills, and knowledge. The ever-shifting terrain made it nearly impossible for intruders to control, unless Naruto himself was present. Will and thought ruled here, so he simply willed himself to Kurama's cage. The prison looked the same, though inside was a limitless space filled with things the fox liked, though he blurred them out so no one could truly see. Kurama appeared, swiping a massive hand toward him as if to crush him. "Nice try, Kurama, but we both know you care too much to actually do it," Naruto said, smirking faintly. "A shame. You used to jump every time I tried that," Kurama chuckled. "Yeah, well, that feels like forever ago," Naruto admitted, slightly embarrassed. "Hardly, just a few months," the fox laughed, amused by Naruto's expression. "So why are you here?" "I've got a bad feeling," Naruto said seriously. "I sense it too," Kurama answered, "but don't worry, you'll make it through. After all, the strongest of the tailed beasts is on your side." "You're still on about that," Naruto muttered in annoyance. "You're not the strongest." "Name one stronger than me," Kurama challenged proudly. Naruto's grin turned sly. "Let's see, the Ten Tails, its true form, Thurin of the Burning Tails, want me to keep going." "Thurin doesn't qualify, he's a demon, not a tailed beast," Kurama muttered with a sulk. "He fits made of chakra, check, has tails, check, full of himself, definitely check," Naruto replied, his grin almost splitting his face. "I'm not full of myself," Kurama snapped. "Sure, and I'm the sage of 6 paths," Naruto shot back. Whatever, if you're just here to ask whether I'll lend you my power, then yes. Now get lost, Kurama barked. Sore loser, Naruto teased. I am not, Kurama retorted as Naruto's image flickered out. You are, Naruto's fading voice echoed. Impudent brat, Kurama muttered, though a sly grin tugged at his fangs. Naruto stirred awake from his meditative state and signaled his clones to disperse. He slipped back to camp quietly, avoiding conversation with Shin, who, in his eyes, was even more insufferable than Neji and Sasuke combined. Rest wasn't something he desperately needed, but keeping himself sharp mattered, not for the demon ahead. He could deal with that. But because something else, far more dangerous, was closing in. Rising at dawn, he packed up swiftly, leaving only Shin's tent untouched. After creating a squad of clones to stretch and train, he returned to find Shin in the middle of them, fuming. When the clones dispersed, he learned she had thrown a tantrum over not being woken and being left with pathetic copies. You're seriously irritating, Naruto grumbled, hoisting her onto his shoulder as he started walking. Put me down, you insolent peasant, Shin screamed. As you wish, Naruto said flatly, tossing her off. Just before she hit the ground, a clone swooped in, set her before the original Naruto, and popped. What was that for? Shin yelled, shaken. For mocking my clones, Naruto replied coldly. They're part of me shaped by chakra. Keep insulting them and maybe next time they won't bother catching you. Are you threatening me? Shin gasped. No, heavens forbid. Just giving you a warning, I can't always control what my clones decide to do, Naruto said, kneeling so she could climb back on. Why do you treat me like this? Shin asked, reluctantly hopping onto his back. Because I don't like your kind of people, Naruto replied curtly. My kind of people. Yeah, the ones who use fate as an excuse for every failure, Naruto said sharply. You don't understand, every vision I see becomes real and all I ever see is death, Shin whispered. Oh, I understand, Naruto countered, surprising her. The old man explained it to me, but instead of honoring those sacrifices, you waste them by whining. I don't whine, she snapped. Really, could have fooled me, Naruto shot back. You can't possibly understand, you've never felt pain like mine, Shin said bitterly. You're right, Naruto said darkly. I've felt far worse, Shin's eyes widened. How? I'm a Jinchuriki, Naruto said simply. But shouldn't they treat you as a savior? You hold the demon captive, Shin said in disbelief. Maybe they should, but people are fools. Instead of seeing me for who I am, they saw a monster. No friends, no games, only shouts and glares. That was my childhood, Naruto explained, voice heavy. I'm sorry. I didn't know, Shin whispered. It's fine, Naruto said softly, then hardened his tone. But don't expect me to apologize. I despise people who hide behind this fate nonsense. Why? She asked. Because only spoiled people lean on it. Real destiny isn't a set road, it's a destination. And you choose the path to get there, Naruto explained. You really believe that? Absolutely. Now keep quiet, or our pursuers will catch up, Naruto warned, quickening his pace. Hours passed in uneasy peace, Shin slowly opening up about her life as Naruto shared bits of his own from the leaf. Things changed when they crossed into the land of claws. Naruto immediately sensed two immense chakra signatures ahead. S-rank level. One was warped, like 5 energies mashed together, 4 smothered by one dominant earth signature, Kakuzu. That alone was bad, but compared to his partner, hidden. Twisted by Jashinist rituals, cursed with immortality. Only techniques like truth-seeking orbs or the ash bones could kill him, abilities Naruto didn't possess. He did have other devastating powers, but unleashing them would wipe out half the countryside. Idiots, Naruto thought grimly. Puppets of dark rituals, using chakra as fuel. Without hesitation, he handed Shin to a clone and signaled her to go without questions. He sprinted the opposite way, stopping at a riverbank, wide, clear terrain, the perfect battleground. He knew he'd need the renegon here if he hoped to survive. In a flash, they appeared. Naruto scanned them with his ability, hidden. Level 85, Jashinist Immortal. Kakuzu, level, wielder of 5 hearts, not encouraging. Hidden was manageable if kept at bay, but Kakuzu, a veteran who had once battled Hashirama himself and lived, that spoke volumes. Come quietly and we'll leave you in one piece, Kakuzu warned. Refuse and I'll gift your blood to Jashin-sama, Hidden cackled. No thanks, I'm not offering myself to a demon, Naruto replied coolly. Jashin-sama is a god, you insolent brat, Hidden roared. Call him what you like. To me, he's nothing more than Jashin of the Black Mist, Naruto said calmly, fueling Hidden's rage. Hidden don't, he's baiting you, Kakuzu cut in. Naruto smirked. Enough talk, let's begin. With a flick, Senbin burst from his sleeves, arcing skyward before scattering in every direction. Kakuzu's hands blurred. Water style. Vortex prison. From the river, a spinning torrent rose, closing in on Naruto. With a flash of the flying thunder god, Naruto slipped out, only to face a roaring fire style. Spiraling dragon, instead of fleeing, Naruto countered. Wind style, northern cleansing gust. A massive gale smothered the dragon, dispersing it into a fiery haze. Kakuzu evaded. Hidden wasn't so lucky. Earth style. Forest of spikes, Kakuzu growled. Spikes erupted, forcing Naruto onto a tree branch, where Kakuzu's punch launched him flying. Recovering midair, Naruto formed a seal. Uzumaki's secret art. Playground of death. Seals scattered, releasing colored fumes, explosions, and dark arrows streaking at Kakuzu. He dodged, only for Hidden's scythe to pierce Naruto's stomach. Naruto surged forward, activating a glowing seal. The wound sealed instantly. Smart move, kid, but you're outnumbered, Kakuzu said grimly. Who said I forgot that? Naruto shot back as a clone burst from a seal beneath Hidden. Fire style, spiral Rasengan. The blazing drill smashed into Hidden's chest, hurling him away with a hole in his torso. Kakuzu clicked his tongue. Damn brat, I wanted to do that. Then suddenly, he collapsed. What did you do to me? Kakuzu gasped. You breathed, Naruto said coldly, stabbing him with a kunai. Kakuzu's body substituted into a log at the last moment. Sharp eye, how'd you know? He smirked. 5 different chakra flows. I took one out. Which one did I hit? Naruto grinned. You think I'll tell you? Kakuzu sneered. Had to try, Naruto shrugged. You bastard. Hidden shouted, scythe swinging wildly. What did you do to me? Made you look better, Naruto quipped before glancing at Kakuzu. Is he always this pathetic? Every day, Kakuzu sighed, lunging forward. Naruto simply flashed behind Hidden, cleanly severing his head. Before Naruto could jam an explosive tag into Hidden's skull, a black tendril lashed across his back, hurling him through the air. Yet before colliding with a tree, he blinked out of sight and reappeared behind Kakuzu, slamming into him with the momentum of the strike. Kakuzu staggered, but before he could retaliate, Naruto vanished again. Rising quickly, Kakuzu accidentally shoved a mouthful of dirt into Hidden's mouth and bolted toward Naruto. Naruto dashed forward as well, only to disappear in the final instant, reappearing at Kakuzu's back, though his kunai was intercepted by another black whip and a punch aimed at his ribs. He slipped away again, leaving his kunai caught in the whip. When he reappeared, the same kunai was flying straight at him. Naruto twisted aside and dodged before flashing through a hand seal. Uzumaki style. Death mist barrier. An energy dome materialized around Kakuzu, quickly filling with a lethal gas. After a minute, the haze faded, revealing Kakuzu untouched, his hearts intact. Naruto cursed inwardly and shifted into the raging whirlpool, a stance crafted to battle stronger foes by using agility and precision as an edge. His instincts suddenly flared. Kakuzu's chakra spiked with unease and fear. Naruto spun around just as a blade sliced toward him. He warped to safety at the far end of the battlefield. Standing across from him on a tree branch was Orochimaru, calmly wielding the Kusanagi blade. What brings you here, Orochimaru? Kakuzu demanded. Ku, is that really how you greet an old companion? The snake Sanin chuckled. You bastard, I'll slice you up and gift your remains to Jashin-sama, Hidden roared, swinging his scythe. Orochimaru sidestepped lazily, nearly cleaving him in half with a single swipe. Enough chatter. Leave. Orochimaru's voice carried a chill that even Naruto felt run down his spine. And why should we? Kakuzu growled, readying himself. Because you value that little immortality trick of yours, Orochimaru hissed. And I know a method to wipe out all 5 of your hearts at once. As for you, Hidden, I've learned that secret art of yours. The 2 Akatsuki exchanged nervous glances. Naruto's mind raced. Could there really be another way to kill Hidden without the renegon? Orochimaru didn't have those eyes, did he? Why you're bluffing, Hidden stammered, stepping back. Care to wager your life on it? Orochimaru smirked, lowering into a stance. Not worth it. We're going, Kakuzu muttered, dragging a freshly stitched-up hidden away. Such obedient little boys, Orochimaru sneered with a twisted grin. Naruto narrowed his eyes. What's your game, Orochimaru? Isn't it obvious? The 9 tails, Naruto shot back. Stop pretending to be a loud fool, Orochimaru snarled. I saw through that mask the moment I met you. Now tell me, what do you think I want? To measure yourself against my flying thunder god, Naruto answered coldly. Correct partially, Orochimaru said with an eager gleam. I also wish to see how far the son of the man who once defeated and outsmarted me has come. Jiraiya still beats you down, Naruto sneered. Yes, but only because brute strength favors him, Orochimaru said calmly. Intellect was never his domain. Even in battle, his overwhelming might covers his flaws. Funny, because last I heard, Itachi humiliated you without breaking a sweat, Naruto retorted. Orochimaru's smile twitched. A contest decided by superior sealing skill, not strength. And remember, I fight to capture, not to kill. It would be a waste to destroy such fine prey. Well, in that case, I'll take my leave. Coo and abandon your unconscious friend, Orochimaru purred, pointing to Shin held hostage in the arms of his clone. Naruto tensed. What stops you from killing her anyway? She's still necessary to contain a certain demon, Orochimaru admitted. Naruto's senses confirmed he wasn't lying, even without chakra fluctuations. Naruto lowered into stance, renegon blazing. Then you'll get the fight you're looking for. My, such unpredictability, Orochimaru smirked, lunging forward. Smoke filled the clearing, Orochimaru's first move, cutting off Naruto's sight. The Sanin flickered behind him, driving a fist toward his skull, but Naruto caught it mid-swing and countered with a handful of explosive tags. He vanished with body flicker as they detonated. Orochimaru dodged with equal speed, only to reappear in a minefield of imploding tags. He escaped again, just as Naruto stepped out a few meters away. Impressive. But cheap tricks won't defeat me, Orochimaru hissed through the ringing explosions. They weren't meant to, Naruto replied casually, vanishing in a golden flash. Expecting him behind, Orochimaru lashed out with a kick, but Naruto appeared at his flank and drove a kunai into his arm. Orochimaru reacted too quickly to the kidney strike, but the wound was still real. Naruto retreated instantly, weighing his odds. Even with his speed, raw power, the renegon, and flying thunder god, this battle wasn't winnable. He could only stall and hope for backup. Orochimaru wasn't idle. His hands blurred through seals. Earth release, crushing earth wave. The ground split apart in a massive wave, collapsing with a thunderous crash. Naruto escaped using Kamui, slipping into another dimension before reappearing with dramatic timing. Orochimaru sensed a dangerous pressure behind him, reminiscent of Tobi's sudden arrivals. 2 Narutos charged forward, one roaring wind style, Rasen Shuriken, and the other fire style, spiraling Rasengan. Combined art, Inferno Shuriken. The blazing fusion tore through the sound barrier, detonating into a fiery dome of destruction. Orochimaru barely swapped places with a log, the heat of the blast searing him. His skin charred, his arm burned, yet he stood at the crater's edge laughing maniacally. You truly did inherit more than just your father's looks, he cackled. Naruto smirked. Guess humiliating you runs in the family. Perhaps, but let's see you handle this. Orochimaru shed his ruined skin, slithering out fully healed. Naruto grimaced. Disgusting. Typical of your twisted experiments. His eyes flared with lethal intent. Orochimaru lunged only to be met by 2 chilling words. Almighty push! The overwhelming blast hurled him back, but he dispersed into mud, dodging a follow-up strike. Wasteful, Orochimaru sneered. Such a technique won't be ready for 5 minutes. That's true for anyone else. I've mastered the renegon, Naruto smirked, unleashing another almighty push to cancel Orochimaru's razor arrow jutsu and hurl him dozens of meters, shredding the forest behind. In truth, he had only used a fraction of its power at first, saving the rest for Orochimaru's counterattack. The snake Sanin's vitality dropped sharply, his chakra burning with each skin-shedding technique. Yet even as Orochimaru's reserves fell, he still emerged, reborn and hissing, refusing to let Naruto claim victory. He was steadily being forced back, and though he recognized it, he refused to grant Orochimaru the satisfaction of seeing him panic like a fool. Naruto's hatred for Orochimaru ran bone-deep. The man had slain his surrogate grandfather and attempted to obliterate Konoha multiple times, not just during the invasion. He had learned much of this through his father, or more precisely, the lingering remnant of Minato Namikaze's chakra that tethered his spirit briefly to the living world. Minato, a man who always acted with purpose, hadn't foreseen that even a fragment of his energy would allow him to escape the Shinigami's grasp momentarily, passing on his wisdom to his son. Without that bond, Naruto wouldn't have been capable of wielding the flying thunder god at all. Orochimaru once had the chance to train Minato as a student, but he cast him aside in favor of another squad, one that boasted a so-called prodigy. During the Third Great Shinobi War, he came to regret that decision deeply, as Minato revealed himself to be the most gifted shinobi Konoha had ever produced. Many believed he was destined to rival, or even surpass, the legendary Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, had his life not ended while trying to halt the manifestation of a primordial fragment. Throughout that war, Minato secretly waged his own campaign against Orochimaru, repeatedly denying him access to the Sharingan and nearly killing him several times. The only reason Orochimaru survived was his status as one of the Sanin. His death would have devastated Konoha's morale. Knowing this, Orochimaru schemed, sending Minato to clash with the future Rakage A, his brother Killer B, and a near S-rank ally from Kumo, hoping they'd eliminate him. Instead, the encounter ended disastrously for Kumo, their comrade slain, B severely injured and saved only by his regenerative powers, and a crippled for months. This marked the true start of Minato's rivalry with the Rakage. Upon returning, Minato casually dismantled 3 of Orochimaru's attempts to acquire the Sharingan. In retaliation, Orochimaru manipulated events to have him sent to assassinate Anoki, the Tsuchikage, using Minato's recent victory over A as justification. Yet again, the scheme collapsed. Minato infiltrated Iwagakure, fought Anoki alongside his elite guard, and won. The battle drew in dozens of Jonin and even 2 Iwa Jinchuriki returning from a mission. Minato utterly crushed them, 30 Jonin dead, 20 permanently disabled, the Jinchuriki beaten unconscious for a week, and Anoki left with the hip injury that even Tsunade couldn't heal. Minato spared the Tsuchikage, hoping he'd grasp the futility of war, but Anoki didn't learn until later, when Minato single-handedly slaughtered 1,000 Iwa shinobi and demolished a heavily fortified bridge after rescuing his genin team. By the time the Third War ended, Minato's secret struggle with Orochimaru had reached its climax, culminating during the Hokage succession. Minato outmaneuvered Orochimaru publicly, winning the seat of 4th Hokage, then systematically dismantled Orochimaru's laboratories and cut off his supply of experimental subjects. He even neutralized Danzo's influence, blocking any alliance between him and Orochimaru. Through this Cold War, Orochimaru came to dread Minato more than Hiruzen himself, even though the third could defeat him head-on. That dread explained why he never revived Minato during the Konoha invasion. Minato himself confirmed that Orochimaru had knowledge of the Uzumaki technique, capable of freeing souls from the Shinigami's belly, yet fear held him back. Unlike other S-rank shinobi who attacked with overwhelming power and chaos, Minato would simply appear behind you in a flash and drive a kunai into your neck, killing without spectacle. He never revealed the true extent of his might, though everyone believed he could unleash devastation equal to, or greater than any other shinobi, thanks to his unrivaled mastery of sealing arts. For this, he was uniquely granted an SS rank title, an honor not even bestowed upon Hashirama or Madara. Orochimaru's grin widened before he pulsed chakra, canceling a pair of seals, vanishing in a blur, and slamming a kick into Naruto's ribs. The body flew across the forest, only to break apart into a reinforced clone. Naruto surged forward with a barrage of chakra-fueled strikes, weaving taijutsu with precision-level body flicker techniques. Orochimaru, however, blocked each move effortlessly, his unsettling smile never faltering, sending chills down Naruto's spine. When Naruto pulled back to recover chakra, Orochimaru drew Kusanagi, flickered forward, and slashed with a speed Naruto had only seen before from Takagi, though even Takagi had been holding back then. It became clear to Naruto why Orochimaru was feared as one of the Sanin, shinobi dreaded by even the strongest Kage. At just 13, He had battled Hanzo the salamander, a foe so formidable only top-tier Kage could hope to defeat, even if it was with his team's support. Naruto was being overwhelmed, not by grandiose ninjutsu or devastating techniques, but by the sheer precision of Orochimaru's swordsmanship. As he evaded another strike, Naruto blinked behind him, kunai poised, only for Orochimaru to dissolve into mud. The realization struck him: he had been fighting a clone. If even a mud duplicate could nearly kill him, the real Orochimaru's power was terrifying. "Just like your father, a kunai to the neck," Orochimaru sneered, grin stretching unnaturally. "Well, he passed down a few lessons," Naruto replied, buying time for Takagi to arrive. "Lies," Orochimaru snarled, his face twisting in fury as he lunged. "No one communicates with souls trapped in the Shinigami's gut. I tried." "Maybe you're not as talented as you think," Naruto shot back, struggling against the ferocious assault. Despite his anger, Orochimaru's swordplay remained flawless. "Kyukuku, to think you made me lose composure," Orochimaru hissed, reverting to calm after carving a deep gash in Naruto's abdomen that inflicted poison from Kusanagi. The effect faded quickly, Kurama's chakra burning it away. "Funny, my dad always said you had a soft spot for him," Naruto taunted, narrowly avoiding deadlier swipes. "So how did you manage it?" Orochimaru pressed, his strikes intensifying. "What was chakra's true purpose, according to the Sage of Six Paths?" Naruto countered, flickering around in golden flashes, scoring cuts that shaved Orochimaru's health down to 3/4. "How should I know? That's unfair," Orochimaru mocked, unleashing snakes with calculating eyes. "Don't lie, you know the white snake's power ties to Ninshu," Naruto retorted, dodging the assault. Kyukuku sharp as ever. "Still, tell me, where did you obtain enough chakra to forge such a link?" Orochimaru asked, intrigued. "That's for me to know, and for you to duck," Naruto quipped as an Usura path-enhanced clone slammed Orochimaru into the earth. Orochimaru shredded the clone instantly, then formed a quick seal, blasting wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto, unprepared, was hurled through what remained of the forest, bones aching. Gritting his teeth, he knew he had only one option left. With a thought, he unleashed the three-tailed Kyuubi cloak, his power and speed surging 20-fold. Now, for the first time, Orochimaru fell into a defensive stance. Yet despite his boost, Naruto couldn't break through. The snake Sanin's agility was unreal, slipping past every strike. After minutes of relentless combat, Naruto finally pinned him down and prepared to tear him apart, only to be struck by a sealing formula carved into his gut. He crashed to the ground, analyzing it in midair. The seal was unfamiliar, clearly crafted by Orochimaru himself. With time, Naruto could have unraveled it, but time was the one thing he no longer had. Naruto quickly formed several hand signs and muttered, "Celestial release, eternal sky guard armor." Instantly, a shimmering azure plating enveloped his body just before the Kusanagi blade could strike his throat. The legendary sword bit halfway into the armor's neck and even managed to draw blood. Unfazed, Naruto activated the Preta path, pulling natural energy from the land itself, making even Orochimaru halt in awe as the armor underwent a dramatic shift. The azure armor darkened into a richer tone, sprouting 6 glowing wings, while streaks of violet energy traced luminous patterns across its surface. Within the armor, Naruto felt his strength amplify beyond what standard Sage mode provided, his chakra now seamlessly interwoven with nature and celestial energy. Smirking, he noticed a glowing counter materialize before him, time to seal ruin, 2:43 minutes. Another gift of celestial Sage mode was the automatic nullification of nearly all seals placed upon him, save for the one binding Kurama, as it had been forged by the death god itself. Orochimaru lunged at full velocity, but to Naruto it seemed as though he was moving underwater. He sidestepped. The Kusanagi was far too dangerous to risk contact with, as it was a relic from the era before the Empire's collapse and capable of cutting through nearly anything, even his enhanced armor. Spinning on his heel, Naruto drove a crushing punch into Orochimaru's stomach, launching him through a row of trees. Before Orochimaru could hit the ground, Naruto appeared above him and slammed down with a brutal axe kick, creating a crater on impact. From the pit, Orochimaru slithered free, shedding his skin once again. With a wicked grin, his body exploded into a swarm of snakes, coalescing into a massive white serpent bearing his face, clutching the Kusanagi in its jaws. Moving faster than before, he unleashed a barrage of strikes on Naruto, carving several gashes into the armor, though each wound regenerated almost instantly. For several minutes, the serpent and Naruto exchanged blows in a deadlock until Naruto's armor began to dissolve, his body crashing to the ground, drained of energy. The colossal snake whipped him away with its tail, slamming him into the dirt and leaving another crater. Gathering its fragments back into itself, the beast reverted into Orochimaru's human form, sword in hand, stalking toward Naruto's prone body. "You forced me to overextend my ultimate form," Orochimaru sneered, kicking Naruto. "I can't use it again for 3 months. Do you have any idea how agonizing it is to harness that much natural energy?" "Quite a bit, it seems," Naruto chuckled hoarsely, spitting blood. "Why laugh? You're moments from death," Orochimaru questioned. "I'm not the one dying here," Naruto retorted, still grinning. "That would be you." Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Naruto's smile widened. "Celestial Sage mode surpasses even the renegon, though it leaves me drained after use. Truth is, I could have ended you at any point, but someone asked me to keep you alive." "Who?" Orochimaru demanded. "The man who's been standing behind you for the last 2 minutes," Naruto replied. Whipping around, Orochimaru lashed out at Takagi, but struck only air. In a blur, Takagi ducked, seized Orochimaru, and hurled him into a tree, disintegrating it along with several others in his path. Moments later, Takagi returned with a battered, bloodied Orochimaru, bound in luminous chains, before walking over to Naruto. "You were reckless to use such a draining technique," Takagi admonished, transferring his energy to restore Naruto's stamina. "Well, excuse me for not wanting my head chopped off after he blocked my link to the furball," Naruto snapped. "That wouldn't have been a problem if you had taken immortality," Takagi countered. "And if you'd let me kill him, we wouldn't be having this conversation," Naruto shot back immediately. "I still require something from him," Takagi explained calmly. "Depending on what we learn, then we'll decide his fate." "What is there to learn? His soulless experiments, his endless schemes to destroy Konoha?" Naruto growled. "I understand your hatred. I lost my family when I was young as well," Takagi admitted, his tone softening. "But we must not be controlled by vengeance. I made that mistake once and nearly lost everything." Raising his hand, Takagi levitated Orochimaru's body, chanting words in an ancient tongue. Orochimaru's eyes fluttered open, and Naruto immediately recognized the spell, one that stripped away the ability to lie, even to oneself. "How did you slip past my senses?" "They were sharpened to their peak during my transformation," Orochimaru hissed. "I have my methods," Takagi said cryptically. "Now tell me, why orchestrate the invasion?" Orochimaru's jaw clenched as he bit his tongue to silence himself. "This may be difficult, but I've broken wills stronger than yours," Takagi warned. His eyes flared, and Orochimaru's gaze mirrored his unwillingly. "You'll gain nothing," Orochimaru spat, nearly breaking free. "That's not true, you'll see," Takagi murmured, intensifying his stare. After a few tense minutes, he released the link. "I understand now." "You understand nothing. You're all blind," Orochimaru sneered. "You call it mercy, don't you?" Takagi pressed. "Partly, but also because Konoha had to be reminded of its decay since Minato's era," Orochimaru confessed, unable to resist. "What kind of mercy is killing Jiji?" Naruto demanded, tears welling. "Is your reminder worth the lives of hundreds?" "Young fool, I don't weigh in hundreds or thousands. I think of millions that would perish if Konoha showed weakness," Orochimaru retorted. "No one dares attack Konoha," Naruto shot back. "Not now. My invasion proved Konoha's strength. It took 2 resurrected Hokage and myself to fell the old monkey. Even then, I left with crippling injuries," Orochimaru replied coldly. Takagi sighed. "He speaks truth. Hiruzen was dying of an incurable disease. Had he withered away in bed, the world would have seen weakness, and the 4th Shinobi War would have erupted." "That's a lie," Naruto shouted, his voice breaking. "He's far too young to trick me," Takagi said firmly. Naruto knew it was the truth but struggled to accept it. "Listen, Naruto," Orochimaru said, voice almost earnest. "You can surpass your father. But first, you must grow into a man. Only then can you reform the sickness rotting the shinobi world." Takagi cut in sharply. "And tell me, why did you admire Minato Namikaze?" Spare me the excuse of being outsmarted. He found a way to preserve the light within us all, to cure the shinobi world's corruption, starting with the leaf. Had he not died sealing the Nine Tails, he would have succeeded. But now it's too late. The system must be destroyed first, then rebuilt in our image, Orochimaru answered, straining against the spell. Do you believe him? Naruto asked. He cannot lie, boy. As harsh as it sounds, it's the truth, Takagi said solemnly. What will you do now? Takagi asked Orochimaru. Die, Orochimaru replied flatly. If I let you live, Takagi pressed, I will continue my plan. But don't delude yourself, I won't reveal it. Last question, why seek the Sharingan its Mangekyo specifically? To free something or someone, but you'll get no more from me, Orochimaru said defiantly. No need. I already know, Takagi said, releasing him. Go before I change my mind. With a body flicker, Orochimaru vanished, leaving Shin unconscious nearby. Naruto, conflicted, moved toward her. Everything he thought he knew was shaken. Orochimaru wasn't purely evil, but a force operating in a gray realm. Whatever his grand plan was, Naruto sensed it would dwarf even the Akatsuki's goals. Still, he swore he would never allow his friends or loved ones to fall victim to it. Clenching his fists, Naruto vowed silently, Orochimaru, your vision will never come to pass. I swear it on everything I hold dear. Takagi observed the renewed fire in his eyes and smiled. A new emperor was rising, one destined to reshape the world, and Takagi would see to it that his light burned even brighter. With a few words, he restored the forest from the battle's devastation before settling into meditation. After his clash with Orochimaru, Naruto carried Shin's limp body and departed, realizing Takagi had no intention of following him. His thoughts were restless, weighed down by the truths he had recently uncovered. He had long known that the shinobi world hid countless lies, that even those closest to him weren't always who they appeared to be. But discovering Orochimaru's true purpose behind the assault on Konoha had shattered the foundations of his reality. He now fully understood why Takagi considered Orochimaru the most dangerous man alive. Only two individuals had the intellect to counter him. One was Danzo Shimura, who lacked both the will and strength to face Orochimaru directly, especially since his Sharingan-embedded arm had been rigged to self-destruct under certain circumstances. The other was Minato Namikaze, yet his existence was sealed within the Shinigami's stomach, leaving him powerless to act against Orochimaru. An hour later, a row of translucent panels blinked into view. Apparently, while lost in thought, Naruto had dismissed them unconsciously. Due to the automatic hourly reminder built into his gamer ability, the alerts resurfaced now. Opening them, the first notification caught his eye. Battle versus Orochimaru, survived, reward. Plus 10000000 EXP, Clash vs Kakuzu and Hidden Stalemate, reward. Plus 250000 EXP, bonus boss unlocked. Kakuzu bonus boss unlocked. Hidden new trait. Emperors will 1-5, nothing can stop the Emperor once he chooses a goal reward. Royal Jade Necklace. Royal Jade Necklace Heir of the Will. Plus 10 Vitality % Divine Demonic Damage new trait. Protector 1-3, fight on at 1 HP, plus 30% crit chance while defending reward. Heavenly Touch Crystal. Heavenly Touch Crystal plus 3 Wisdom unlocks Heavenly Jump. Heavenly Jump type. Spacetime 0 CP cost. Teleport instantly to a marked ally in danger. Level up. Plus 29, now level 85, stat plus 290, attribute plus 870 merit, plus 15 Naruto, usually avoided spending his attribute points. In fact, this was the 39th time he leveled up without assigning any. Since attributes were among the few things he could naturally develop through training, instead of relying on points gained from fights or loopholes. Most of the past 2 years had been consumed by Takagi, putting him through brutal mental and physical drills, forcing him to grow stronger without leaning on easy boosts from leveling, at least in regard to attributes. Between those grueling lessons, he did the occasional mission and maybe 1 or 2 dungeon runs each year just to keep gaining levels. Through this process, they discovered his greatest strength was in adaptation, the ability to apply knowledge and techniques to different problems and scenarios. Over 2 years, he had nearly maxed every adaptation-related attribute, with the sole exception being senjutsu. He doubted he could ever fully master it, given the practically limitless ways Senjutsu chakra could be applied. Forget would release, true godlike power lay in Senjutsu itself. At first, he had thought about using his gift of the Emperor to obtain a variant of the gamer ability that allowed stats to grow through training as well, but Takagi quickly dissuaded him. Takagi explained why the gamer system was structured this way. Earlier versions of the ability had indeed allowed stat training, but those users became obsessed with grinding and often neglected to allocate points, which led to many of their deaths. More importantly, the current version prevented issues like muscle deterioration, mental decline with age, or permanent damage to the mind. It also granted resistance to any form of mental illness. On top of that, a gamer's stats held an edge over normal ones. If a regular person and a gamer had the same strength value, the gamer would always be stronger. For ordinary people, stat values worked differently. Using Observe showed their levels as indicators of experience gained, not necessarily victories or raw power. Their stats reflected physical and mental potential and weren't always tied to their level. For example, Hashirama Senju at age 10 was level 30, yet his energy and control were only 200, thanks to his wood release giving him automatic parity between the two without investing points. By age 28, his energy reached 1250. Similarly, Minato Namikaze at the beginning of the Third Shinobi World War was only level 16, but his speed was already 189, close to the natural human max of 200. Unlike gamers, normal stats could be heavily affected by factors like age or mental state. For instance, Hiruzen Sarutobi in old age had an energy stat of 315, but lost 160 points due to physical decline. Meanwhile, Takagi, whose body was technically 150 years old, had no age-related penalties since his form rejuvenated back to that of a 40-year-old when he turned 180. This demonstrated just how much the gamer ability surpassed natural human limits. Observe itself had also been modified to measure threat level. Naruto's ranking was S-class when his renegon was active, despite only being level 56, while natural S ranks usually started from level 120 upward. At higher levels, Observe could even reveal detailed stats, though this was often unreliable and annoying, so most gamers or cheaters ignored it. They preferred to rely on special items to compensate for their rigid stat systems. At overlevel 200, Observe could expose weaknesses directly, though even at lower levels, it worked when used on specific techniques or combat stances. Naruto's natural multitasking skill made him a prodigy with Observe, turning it into a weapon that often gave him the edge, except against foes like Orochimaru, who constantly shifted fighting styles too quickly for him to keep up and counter. As for merit points, his options were limited. He could only spend them to evolve existing attributes to higher tiers. Unlocking bloodlines or rare abilities required a supervisor's key, which Takagi held. That key was meant as a final trial to test a gamer's nature before granting full access to advanced perks. Takagi would only hand it over when Naruto reached the right stage, or if circumstances became so dire that withholding it wasn't possible. Given Takagi's level, however, it would likely take an army of gods to force that situation. Shaking off his train of thought, Naruto refocused on his chakra-based attributes. His vow on the Emperor's honor barred him from using mana spells or any other form of magic. This oath, sworn at the beginning of his training with Takagi, became unbreakable once taken by an Emperor's heir. It couldn't be twisted or undone unless the one it was sworn to willingly released him from it. Such oaths had only ever been sworn 5 times in the history of that world, Naruto's included. After unlocking his latest abilities, Naruto felt his chakra writhe inside him until his 2 primary affinities completed their transformation, before stabilizing again, though now it flowed with far greater ease, bending naturally toward his dominant elements. His eyes burned briefly before the surge of power settled, their semi-divine essence clashing with the human foundation of the gamer's gift and ultimately failing to suppress it. His chakra pathways shifted, reshaped to draw in and harmonize with massive amounts of natural energy. Pulling out the heavenly touch crystal, he placed a marker on Shin, just in case they became separated, the flare of heavenly energy jolting her awake. Harnessing his new velocity, Naruto crossed the border of the land of swamps in under 2 hours, and within another 30 minutes, they reached the foot of the mountain that held the shrine sealing Morio's body. The problem was the entire mountainside swarmed with ranks of stone golems, their formation tight enough to repel even a small army, unless Naruto unleashed one of his more flexible techniques. Stealing his focus, he whispered internally, "Dungeon create, biological tanks battlefield, LVL.8, combining it with his animal path." The air around them warped as if through fractured glass, though no sound or smoke followed. Out surged 100 creatures, giant reptiles, strange hybrid beasts, and fragile-looking figures pulled straight from legends. They shared one trait: immense vitality, built on durability rather than simple regeneration. Their combined mental pressure struck his defenses like a hurricane, shattering most barriers. His inner world blazed, the mountain engulfed in fire as 100 silhouettes loomed overhead, feeding the destruction with their collective will. Battles fought within the mindscape were clashes of pure omnipotence, where thoughts and will reigned supreme. Normally, the defender had the advantage in their own domain, but against over 100 entities with unyielding determination, it was nearly unwinnable. Even Naruto's iron will faltered, his once unbreakable spirit beginning to fracture along with his mental plane. Within minutes, the mountain was erased, leaving only endless darkness, Kurama's cage, and a glowing sphere of light symbolizing Naruto's will. The invaders appeared as liquid black figures, visible despite the lack of logical rules here, and they pressed toward the fading orb of light. Naruto could barely believe he was being cornered in a battle of wills. His dark persona itself had once yielded before his spirit, yet now even he was being overwhelmed inside the very representation of his strength. As he plunged deeper into the sphere, he sensed something far greater than the usual warmth of resolve. It wasn't the false euphoria of drugs or illusions, but a primal certainty that he was unconquerable here or anywhere else. He recognized it instantly. The Emperor's will, the power that had once allowed his ancestors to stand against deities and primordial beings, mocking impossibility and claiming victory regardless of odds. The energy embraced him eagerly, eager to demonstrate that the intruders now faced a descendant of the Otsutsuki line, one who would kneel before no god, much less beasts masquerading as such. Light burst outward, expanding the sphere and reshaping the ruined mindscape. The enemy forms recoiled, their instincts screaming in the presence of power beyond them, the realization of humanity's limitless potential. Outside, only seconds had passed when Naruto's eyes snapped open, his renegon glowing under the forest's dim shade. Every summoned creature also opened their eyes, reflecting the same renegon glow. With a thought, he directed them to storm the stone army while signaling Shin to climb on his back. As the summoned beasts clashed against the golems, his gamer system revealed a new notification. Unlocked, the Emperor's Will 2-5, the source of the will of fire. Once the Emperor resolves to achieve something, nothing can prevent it. Reward: Cryptex, the Empire's black box, a hidden repository of the Emperor's and Empire's deepest secrets, including the journals of the 8 rulers before the fall. Effects: +20 intelligence, +25 wisdom, grants access to secret archive. If lost or stolen, access and boosts vanish. Non-heirs who take it suffer permanent insanity or brain death depending on luck. Effects apply as long as ownership is maintained. The item puzzled Naruto. The stat increase was small compared to the magnitude of its power. Even stored in his inventory, its energy pulsed like a beacon. The jade necklace made sense as a symbol of status and undeniable proof of identity, its effects secondary to the sheer might concentrated within it. But the cryptex was different, forged to endure forces beyond human measure, holding knowledge of Emperor's techniques, journals, and perhaps personal grimoires, treasures priceless even to gods themselves. Setting the mystery aside for later, Naruto evaded a crushing blow from a stone golem and split it apart with a wind-empowered kunai, the force of his wind storm making even such a basic tool devastating in his hands. Launching himself past the wreckage, he rode currents of wind to propel himself up toward the shrine. Upon landing, Shin ran straight to the barrier while 2 more golems rushed Naruto. Swearing under his breath, he dodged their sluggish attacks, thankful that Morio wasn't fully awakened yet, or the constructs would move like elite shinobi. Forming a single seal, he cast Wind Release. Great breakthrough, while a clone he had created mid-dodge unleashed Fire Release, Spiraling Dragon. The fused attack melted the stone warriors into molten slag. His refined elemental mastery reduced chakra cost while amplifying devastation. The display flashy by shinobi standards, but Naruto was beyond ordinary ninja conventions. Turning, he spotted a man slip through Shin's protective barrier. Naruto dashed forward, but the intruder detonated in a burst of semi-demonic chakra, tearing his body apart and releasing Morio, who instantly fused with his vessel. The land erupted into volcanic chaos as the demon returned to full strength. Naruto only hoped Morio's arrogance stopped him from summoning his army of golems. They would be troublesome. Hurling 50 senbon to set up his custom flying thunder god markers, he cursed as the demon obliterated them with a surge of dark chakra. Racing to Shin, who stood frozen in terror, Naruto braced himself. "Little priestess," the demon sneered, "I trust you enjoyed your short life because it ends here." A massive tentacle shot toward her. "No," Naruto roared, blinking in front of Shin with heavenly jump, taking the strike through his chest before he could react. "Naruto," Shin cried as his body fell, eyes dimming. "This can't be it," Naruto muttered, mind rebelling against the idea of death. Kurama's chakra flooded him, but even the fox couldn't restore a destroyed heart. "No, I will not die here." His defiant voice thundered inside his mindscape, the mountain quaking as the cavern of the renegon erupted, blasting purple light into the sky. Dragged back to awareness, Naruto saw time twist around him, his renegon blazing with overwhelming energy. Returning to the moment he had intercepted Morio's strike, he redirected it with Wind Release, deflecting it just enough to minimize the damage. Before him, another gamer tab appeared, time halting as the system automatically paused in the middle of battle. Skill unlocked, Renegon. Shattered Path, the dominion over the river of time itself. This ability merges one's chakra into the temporal current, allowing movement backward or forward. However, shifting ahead in time drains so much energy that it guarantees instant death. Its title comes from the fact that traveling back splits and fractures an entire timeline. It can also mean the user may transcend when their physical form reaches its limit, shattering the chains of mortality. Category: Temporal Manipulation, Energy Drain. 4000 CP/sec. Skill unlocked, Guardian Trait 2-3. By unlocking Guardian Trait 2-3, you have gained the Stormbreaker Coat, a long coat infused with high-tier enchantments, allowing the wearer to move at speeds unattainable for ordinary humans. Equipped bonus: plus 40 speed, plus 10 vitality. Reality snapped back into place as Naruto dropped to the ground, his body screaming with agony. Barely conscious, he hurried to put on the Stormbreaker coat, relief flooding in as the boost to vitality and healing kicked in. Kurama worked within him to patch his body faster, ensuring that in another minute he would recover, if he avoided further damage. Forming rapid hand seals, Naruto muttered, "Earth style." Iron Shell. A vast earthen dome rose up, shielding them just in time as 4 monstrous tendrils smashed against it. Grinding his teeth, Naruto pulled out a prepared chakra seal and drained it, replenishing nearly 50,000 CP, pushing him close to his full reserves once more. A series of seals later, his hands glowed with green chakra. Using the mystical palm technique, he accelerated his already boosted regeneration. Shin rushed toward him, her eyes widening at his partially healed wound. "Gods, are you okay?" she asked, seeing the gash rapidly closing. "Yeah, I'll live. Just a second to catch my breath before I beat this pathetic demon down," Naruto answered with a feral grin, crimson eyes gleaming and his sharp canines flashing. "You don't look fine," Shin frowned. "I've been through worse," Naruto smirked, already watching his health bar climb past half. "Liar. Once had a lightning-coated hand almost pierce my heart," he admitted casually, choosing not to mention how he cheated death by reversing time. "Can I do anything?" Shin asked nervously as cracks formed in the dome. "Stay back. Leave the monster to me," Naruto said before vanishing in a blur. His laughter echoed as he darted about with blinding speed, faster than even Minato had ever been. His current speed stat of 205, bolstered by seals, made him untouchable. Dodging vicious tentacles aiming to crush him, Naruto hurled a three-pronged kunai at the beast's skull. In an instant, he teleported onto Morio's head, inscribing an explosive seal before warping away, detonating the demon's head and several limbs. But the wounds regenerated in moments. With an enraged roar, Morio unleashed countless tendrils toward Naruto, who weaved between them with supernatural speed. Another kunai flew toward Morio's face, only to be destroyed by a burst of dark chakra. Yet the seal on it activated, glowing blue as a colossal sphere materialized, sucking Morio into its gravitational pull. In seconds, the demon's body was trapped inside. "Told you he was small time," Naruto grinned. "Behind you," Shin screamed as the sphere cracked, unleashing fresh tentacles toward Naruto. Instinctively, he flickered away just as the ground shattered beneath the strikes. The fear of nearly losing him shattered the seal placed on Shin, awakening her sacred chakra. With determination, she prepared to sacrifice herself in a massive explosion to take Morio down. But before she could, Naruto appeared in a flash of yellow light, grabbing her wrist and dragging her away. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Ending Morio, it's my duty as priestess, no one else can." "We're ending him together," Naruto countered, forming a Rasengan in his palm. "How? Your jutsu barely hurt him." "On my chakra alone, yeah, but mix in yours and we'll have a Rasengan that'll obliterate him." "You're serious?" she gasped. "Dead serious. Now channel your chakra into this," Naruto barked. Shin obeyed, pouring her sacred energy into the Rasengan. The sphere swelled, glowing with holy power as Naruto fed more of his own chakra into it. Together, they appeared above Morio's head and slammed the orb down. A catastrophic explosion followed, the holy energy erasing Morio's body and spirit completely. The backlash tore the mountain apart, turning it into a volcano. Naruto teleported them to safety at the base, where his summons awaited. With a pulse of chakra, his golems dissolved, the instant dungeon collapsing. Weary and drained, Naruto sat on a tree stump, still regenerating slowly. "One demon down, nice work, brat," he said with a grin. "I'm not a brat, you arrogant blonde," Shin stammered at a loss for a comeback. "Demon," Naruto suggested smugly. "You're impossible," she muttered, sitting beside him. "I know. But that's me." "You're wrong," Shin whispered. "About what?" "Morio's form is gone, but his essence will return. My line must continue to suppress him and others like him. Will you help me?" "Of course. But we can't be together," Naruto laughed. "Why not?" "Because I'm an S-rank shinobi with the legendary renegon. Like those before me, I'll be forced to marry multiple women to ensure heirs. Even the strongest, Hashirama and Madara, had no say in that." "I'm not good at sharing," Shin admitted. "No one is, but we can stay friends. I'll visit when I can," Naruto assured her. "I'd like that," Shin smiled. "Good. Now, Takagi, stop hiding and come out," Naruto called toward the trees. "You've sharpened up," Takagi admitted, stepping out. "Ready for another heavenly transport?" "Nope. Marked the palace with a flying thunder god seal." "No making me puke this time," Naruto replied with a grin. A few hours had passed since the clash with Morio. Naruto and Takagi had returned to the wreckage of Uzushiagakure. They didn't linger there long, just enough time to collect their reward, bid farewell to Shin and Yashimura, and then warp back to their hideout. Their base was a massive cavern Takagi had carved out himself, lined with seals and arcane formations that expanded it to nearly double the size of Konoha. The cave was separated into two main sections: a vast training ground, reinforced with countless wards to keep the cavern from collapsing whenever Naruto unleashed his full strength, and the living quarters, a much smaller area that occupied less than 5% of the whole cavern. That space was decorated with furniture Takagi had either built himself or gathered over countless centuries. Now, Naruto and Takagi sat across from one another on opposing couches, locked in a silent staring battle. Unsurprisingly, Naruto caved after 15 minutes. "What's bothering you so much?" Takagi finally asked. "Why the hell did you suppress my abilities when you knew I was up against someone that strong?" Naruto shot back. "I needed you to awaken the Emperor's will," Takagi said matter-of-factly. "At the cost of my life," Naruto growled. "Yes, it was worth the risk," Takagi replied without hesitation. "Fine. Then I'm done here. I'm leaving," Naruto snapped, standing. If you walk out, I'll erase your memory and remove your gamer powers, Takagi warned calmly. And what if I refuse to let you? Naruto challenged. You're nowhere near strong enough to force even a draw against me, Jinchuriki or not, Takagi said flatly. Then take it. I won't keep an ability granted by someone who gambles with lives as if they mean nothing, sacrificing people just to trigger some hidden potential, Naruto said bitterly, brushing away a glowing prompt that appeared before his eyes. He wouldn't need it if the power was going to be stripped away anyway. Congratulations, past, Takagi said suddenly, a proud smile spreading across his face. What test? Naruto asked, startled by the shift in tone. Check your system alerts, Takagi answered. Notifications, Naruto muttered, and several glowing windows materialized before him. Congratulations, you have completed the supervisor's trial. You have unlocked Emperor's Will 3-5 reward. Silver light obtained, silver light, a divine staff once wielded by a god slain by the first empress. It symbolizes the vow of the imperial bloodline to defend humanity. Grants plus 50 energy, plus 50 control, plus 30 luck when equipped. You have defeated Morio, reward. 6 million Ryo, bonus experience. Enemy level plus 3 million EXP, damage inflicted. Plus 3000000 EXP, damage sustained. 1 million EXP total, 5 million EXP level up. Plus 33 levels, you are now level 118. Distribute 330 stat points, 990 attribute points, 16 merit points. What the hell? Naruto muttered. This was the last trial. It measured whether you were truly fit to inherit the gamer's full power. In your case, whether you would protect humanity even if it meant giving up your strength, Takagi explained. You doubted me, Naruto said, disappointed. I trusted you with everything, but the trial is part of your path. Every emperor faced it, except the first empress who had no supervisor, Takagi clarified. What happens now? Naruto asked. I release you from your oath, Takagi said, and Naruto felt a heavy burden lift off his spirit. And I'll also give you this. He revealed a small black droplet-shaped orb. No way, that's the supervisor's key, Naruto breathed after inspecting it with observe. Are you sure? Of course, I wouldn't release you and hand you this otherwise, Takagi confirmed. Orochimaru's finished then, Naruto said confidently. Not quite, he's buried deep in hiding. Even with our strongest magic, finding him will be difficult, Takagi replied. He'll surface eventually. I can wait, Naruto said. No, you can't. Our encounter with him already accelerated events. We need to assess the fallout, Takagi corrected. What kind of events? Naruto pressed. Ask the cryptex about the box of ultimate bliss, Takagi instructed. You've sensed it too, Naruto asked, pulling the cryptex from his inventory. Yes, it's difficult to conceal such a relic from a gamer with refined perception, though lesser beings won't notice, Takagi explained. Naruto channeled mana into the cryptex, a 15-centimeter cylinder made of orichalcum and adamantine, covered with rotating rows and columns of eldritch runes. As the glyphs spun and stopped, 3 golden symbols glowed faintly. A spell surged through Naruto's mind, and within a second his system displayed the information. The box of ultimate bliss is a divine weapon created by the gods to annihilate humanity after the first empress and her gamer army defeated them and sealed their direct influence from the human world. The box houses a construct with the sole purpose of eradicating mankind. It was hidden in the land now known as Kusagakyur, but unearthed during the dawn of the Chakra era. Damn, Naruto muttered. And that's only scratching the surface, Takagi said grimly. So I'll head there and destroy it, Naruto asked. No, I will. It's too dangerous for you. If the gods learn your identity, they could trigger its self-destruct, Takagi warned. That would be catastrophic, Naruto admitted. Exactly. I can seal it away before that happens, Takagi assured him. Then why even tell me? Unless you want me to handle something else, Naruto realized. Correct. I need you to grant the gamer ability to Kakashi. You'll also choose his supervisor, Takagi explained. You can't do that yourself, Naruto asked skeptically. No, only you can locate the crystals that bestow gamer powers. I can only strip them away and only because I possess a supervisor's key, Takagi said. Fine, when are you heading out? Naruto asked. Immediately, waiting risks disaster, Takagi replied. And me. Until Kakashi reaches me, Naruto asked. Enjoy your powers. Just don't disable the immortality setting in instant dungeons. It yields more experience, but the risks are unacceptable, especially since you insist on staying mortal, Takagi advised. I've already told you, I won't become immortal, Naruto said firmly. Then understand this. Items like the cryptex and that necklace will only reveal their full strength once you fully master the Emperor's will, Takagi explained. That's lame, Naruto muttered. Precaution, some reached 4-5 and failed to finish, proving unworthy, Takagi countered. My ancestors were paranoid beyond belief, and people call shinobi paranoid, Naruto grumbled. They had no choice, Takagi replied evenly. So, when do I get to see the ultimate cheat? Naruto asked. When I return, I don't trust you alone with it yet, Takagi said bluntly. That's unfair. You said after I beat Morio, Naruto complained. Circumstances changed. Anyway, allocate your points soon. I'm off, Takagi said, vanishing in a burst of heavenly transportation. Damn know-it-all, Naruto muttered. Stat page. Naruto looked over his stats with satisfaction. He had grown immensely compared to before the mission. But then again, it had been an Emperor-class mission. Facing S-rank opponents and coming across absurdly powerful loot was expected, and with his luck, he had scored some truly ridiculous rewards. Now that the gamer's shop was accessible, he could finally unload all the junk he had collected from dungeon runs and low-level jobs. Naruto was slowly adapting to the idea that attribute points could also be used to increase his power directly, especially in areas where training would normally take years. Time wasn't a luxury he could afford, nor was it something the world could spare, since Orochimaru's schemes were approaching completion, and the only way to stop him was to both counter his moves and dismantle his plans simultaneously. Normally, it would take him years to reach that level of strength, but with things moving so fast, he had only months left at best. Letting out a satisfied breath, Naruto felt his body, mind, chakra, and mana align with the new enhancements. With no seals, 3 shadow clones materialized before him. No orders were needed, they knew their roles perfectly. The trick about shadow clones was that they were essentially a loophole, even when it came to the gamer ability, because they let him bypass limits such as the 1 dungeon restriction. Since clones were true duplicates, they even carried copies of his gamer powers, allowing each of them to open their own dungeon dimensions. Naruto often used this for dangerous training like studying runes, seals, or constructing eldritch arrays. The renegon prevented him from ever running out of chakra, mana, or other energy sources like prana and ether, but that skill required total concentration. In battle, it was mostly impractical, aside from absorbing raw natural energy. Turning his thoughts inward, Naruto decided to check his gamer shop again, especially since his version was Emperor class. Mentally commanding Gamer Shop, a fresh tab unfolded before his eyes. Welcome to the Gamer Shop. Here you may acquire techniques, spells, rituals, perks, and more, provided you have the required funds and merit points. Special note: because of a unique mutation in your gamer ability, you are not restricted by class type or the number of classes possessed. You may purchase across all categories. The next screen displayed a massive catalog of nearly 100 classes, and judging by the arrow at the bottom marked Next Page, there were infinitely more. Browsing, Naruto noticed several that caught his attention: Mana Specialist, Curse Master, Phoenix Mage, Wizard, Sorcerer, and many others. With his massive reserves of every kind of energy, he could become nearly unstoppable by combining perks from such classes. Still, he selected Ninja, prompting a new window to appear. Bloodline Acquisition, Celestial Release Cost, 2 merit points, unique condition detected. You may convert this ability into a full bloodline limit rather than a pseudo-version, making it inheritable by descendants. It will also register under elemental manipulation, allowing attribute points to be assigned. Purchase? Yes/no without hesitation, Naruto confirmed. A moment later, another tab slid open, graying the shop temporarily. Congratulations, you have unlocked Celestial Release 300/300. Would you like to evolve it? Cost 2 merit points. Yes/no. Naruto hit yes again. Merit points weren't a concern, he had plenty. He had only used 10 to evolve his elemental manipulations before, leaving him with 45 more. And even if he ran out, he could always create a Ludo board to earn additional points. Unlocked, Skyline 1/100. Your bond with Celestial Release is so strong that you can craft countless objects from it and control them effortlessly. Celestial-based jutsu costs are drastically reduced, making them a devastating tool in skilled hands. Minus 150% cost to all Celestial Release techniques. Percent learning speed for Celestial Release jutsu. Naruto grinned at his newest gain and closed the tab, returning to shop browsing. Before long, something else caught his eye, the perfect perk to boost his abilities further, maybe even enough to shock Taikage in their next sparring match. Flash of the Flying Thunder God cost. 5 merit points plus 1 million Ryo, an ability requiring immense speed. The greater the user's speed stat, the easier mastery becomes. Minus 2% cost to Flying Thunder God and its variance per speed point above 120. Plus 1000% learning mastery speed. Plus 500% creation speed for new variations. Plus 150% reflexes and reaction time. Purchase? Yes, no. Naruto smirked devilishly and selected yes. Immediately, his mind adjusted, processing information faster, his reflexes heightened. The sensation was intoxicating, almost like seeing the world in slow motion. Maybe this was how his father had experienced combat. Closing the shop briefly, he summoned a shadow clone, which instantly generated an empty dungeon dimension to train with the new perk. Naruto then went back to browsing until another bloodline perk drew his attention. While not critical for his evolution as a shinobi, it would give him an edge against Jinchuriki or tailed beasts, especially since he still had Tsunade's necklace. Would release cost 6 merit points plus 3 million Ryo, the bloodline limit popularized by Hashirama Senju but tracing back to Kaguya Otsutsuki. It drains chakra upon contact. Exceptionally effective against demons and tailed beasts, sapping their energy while calming and briefly immobilizing them. Purchase. Yes, no. He bought it without hesitation. The thought of pitting would release against Sasuke's Sharingan in their inevitable clash filled him with anticipation. He was certain he'd send Sasuke's pride crashing into the ground. Unlocked. Would release 1/300. He then invested in a dozen would release jutsu, ranging from B to A rank, along with 2 additional celestial release techniques, spending the 6 million Ryo he had earned from his mission. Out of money, he had no choice but to grind again by entering a dungeon dimension, this time disabling experience gain and focusing only on monetary drops based on enemy rank. Thankfully, the money mechanic still worked even when immortality features were active. Naruto commanded, Dungeon Create, Hybrid Battlefield LVL. 11. The scenery shifted instantly. A crater-riddled plain beneath a violet sky with 2 massive moons, so close they edged into the horizon. In the distance, countless beings clashed in fierce combat. He didn't wait long before an enemy appeared. A figure landed before him, shrouded in dust. Naruto leapt back and whispered, "Observe," revealing its identity. Craig, level 104. Whispering pause, then bestiary, everything turned gray as a catalog of all creatures he'd faced appeared, highlighting the entry. Species, Craig, threat level, A-rank details, hybrid of Naga and shark people. Extraordinary reflexes, keen senses, mastery of water and lightning. Unlike shark people, they can survive without constant access to water. Naruto grinned and summoned Silverlight, channeling mana into it until it morphed into a silver katana. Laughing, he confirmed his theory. If gods were shapeshifters of the highest order, then their weapons too would shift forms with ease. Emerging from the dust, the Craig studied Naruto with its fish-like eyes. Towering at 2 meters, its body was covered in shimmering scales with jagged bone spines along its back. Naruto shifted into a kenjutsu stance and beckoned. The Craig vanished in a blur, but Naruto's blade was faster, carving a gash across its chest. The Craig retaliated, thrusting its arms forward. The air quaked, and torrents of water burst forth from nothingness. Reacting swiftly, Naruto unleashed his Flying Thunder God Senbons, activating Flying Thunder God. Amusement Park. In a flash of yellow, he reappeared behind the Craig and decapitated it with a wind-infused slash. Before he could check his spoils, a massive fire wave roared toward him. Using rapid seals, Naruto redirected the remaining water to shield himself. The flames subsided, leaving half the water as steam. Activating Observe, Naruto identified the attacker. A human fire demon hybrid, level 107. Without pause, Naruto blurred through hand seals and unleashed Celestial Release, Heavenly Cannon. A cannon formed, firing a blazing orb of mystic energy that detonated with destructive force. Unlike the Rasen Shuriken, this attack didn't destroy on a cellular level, but it left wounds that couldn't heal unless infused with celestial chakra. The demon hybrid dodged, but not the trap. A shadow clone appeared behind it, tagging it with a paralysis seal. Naruto followed up instantly with Wood Release, crushing roots, exploiting the demon's natural weakness to wood techniques and finishing the battle. Forming a single hand seal, Naruto summoned 200 shadow clones that burst into existence with a puff of smoke, scattering across the vast plain to engage the incoming foes. The battlefield quickly erupted with deafening blasts, towering walls of stone, infernos blazing skyward, massive waves crashing, bolts of lightning splitting the air, and razor-thin currents of wind slicing invisibly yet lethally across the field. Within moments, the first memories from dispelled clones trickled back into him, signaling their destruction. Irritated by the slow progress, Naruto used his renegon to lock onto the nearest surviving clone and warp to its location. No sooner had he arrived than he was forced to dodge a slicing wind blade nearly equal in strength to his own. Activating Observe revealed the opponent, shadowing LVL.110. Smirking, Naruto charged a Rasengan and aimed for its gut, only for the creature to sink back into the darkness before the attack could land. Refusing to give it room to flee, Naruto gestured to a nearby clone, which cloaked itself in Preta path armor and thrust a hand at the re-emerging shadowling. As predicted, the creature tried melting into the shadows again, except this time, Naruto triggered a sealing mark, releasing a blinding light that shredded the darkness. Half-merged, the shadowling was bisected instantly. Suddenly, over 20 clones' memories slammed into him, his expression paling at the revelation they carried. The dungeon boss, an abomination born from fusing a leviathan with an elemental salamander, a grotesque hybrid of both. Moving into range, Naruto activated Observe, intent on analyzing its stats to decide whether to fight or abandon the battle with ID escape. Relief washed over him when he saw the truth. The creature was far weaker than a full leviathan. True leviathans rivaled the Ten-Tails themselves, but this one was likely crafted from a newly hatched specimen. Dangerous, yes, S-rank at least, but nowhere near its peak counterpart. The hybrid easily outclassed him in earth, water, and fire manipulation, not to mention possessing enormous chakra and mana pools with near-endless regeneration. Still, Naruto's edge came from superior wisdom, strategy, and the overwhelming might of his renegon. Channeling his chakra absorption ability, Naruto siphoned energy through his remaining clones. The beast itself, a grotesque mass of blackened orange flesh, warped head, scaled legs, and a shadowy tail, slammed its tail into the ground, sending jagged spikes of earth erupting toward the clones, which blinked away in time. One clone attempted to counter with a newly developed technique, Celestial Release, Rasengan, intending to cripple its healing. However, mid-teleport with Flying Thunder God, the clone destabilized and exploded, leaving only a visible ripple in spacetime as proof. A system tab clarified the failure. Celestial Release, Rasengan LVL.3, designed to nullify regeneration in all but divine or high-class demonic beings. However, instability within spacetime will cause the technique to detonate prematurely. Chuckling at his clone's blunder, Naruto appeared beside the monstrosity, conjured another celestial release, Rasengan, and smashed it into one of the hybrid's legs. He blurred away from its retaliatory tail swipe as another clone unleashed celestial release, Heavenly Cannon, obliterating the tail completely. Roaring in fury, the beast exhaled a blazing torrent of white-hot fire, incinerating dozens of clones before they could escape. Unlike Minato's instantaneous Flying Thunder God, Naruto's custom, amusement park variation required half a second per jump, far slower, though vastly more versatile in area coverage. Soon, enormous roots erupted around the creature, binding and crushing it with chakra-forged wood. The hybrid fought savagely, shattering the bindings with raw strength. Seizing the moment, Naruto and a clone synchronized, one forming wind release, Rasen Shuriken, the other wielding celestial release, Rasengan. Their combined strike detonated into a dome of microscopic wind blades laced with celestial chakra, ensuring even its regenerative body would be unable to recover. When the storm of destruction cleared, the boss had been erased, its defeat confirmed by a system notification awarding Naruto their spoils. Yet before he could celebrate, the ground split, unleashing dozens of salamander leviathan spawn that ambushed his clones, tearing them apart. Only a desperate use of ID escape spared Naruto himself, while his clones perished instantly. Sitting cross-legged after his narrow escape, Naruto accessed his gamer shop, grinning at the sight of his earnings. 50 million Ryo gained from slaying 30 high-level enemies, most A-rank and near S-rank, with only the boss at true S-rank level. Naruto Uzumaki class, gamer LVL. 118 points to next level 70,000/169,000 age, 16 height, 180 cm weight, 58.3 kg HP, 24,630, plus 2620 chakra points, 102,250, plus 22,500 MP, 220,000 Kuramas CP. HP region, 136 sec, plus 14 Kuramas HP region, 700 sec chakra region, 3195 sec plus 703/sec Kuramas CP region, MP region, 22,000 sec energy, 201, plus 50 equals 251 control, 201, plus 50 equals 251 strength, 133 speed, 185, plus 40 equals 225 vitality, 181, plus 20 equals 201 dexterity, 150 intelligence, 221 wisdom, 253, plus 3 equals 256 luck, 120, plus 30, equals 150 special status. Uzumaki and Namikaze air, plus 10 intelligence, plus 15 vitality, plus 10 speed, plus 30% exp in Fuinjutsu and creation, Jinchuriki plus 100 HP/CP per level, Trap Master, plus 10% traps and stealth, perfect control, control always equals energy due to wood release chakra network. Stat points, 0 funds, 52,685,680, Ryo Naruto tinkered with his gamer shop for an hour before slipping into meditation. Hours later, inspiration struck, attempting to invoke his broken path while meditating. Burning through chakra until only 15,000 remained, he finally succeeded. His body felt as though it dissolved, tugged apart from countless directions, though strangely painless. Suddenly he was adrift in a kaleidoscope of color and sound, no longer flesh but pure chakra. As he reached forward, a torrent of visions flooded his mind, an alternate world where Minato had lived through the Nine-Tails attack, changing everything. In that timeline, Naruto never bore the village's hatred, shielded by his father's ruthless defense of him. He could still recall laughing at the terror on villagers' faces when Minato unleashed his fury, Danzo in particular. The Uchiha massacre never occurred. Instead, Minato restructured the police to include all clans, sending Uchiha forces to border patrol where they excelled. The Uchiha and Hyuga became firm allies after Itachi rescued Hinata from a Kumagakure abduction attempt. When the Rakage demanded Itachi's execution, planning to exploit him to rebuild the Uchiha in Kumo, Minato calmly appeared in the Rakage's office, issued a war threat, and vanished in a flash. Afterward, Kumo retreated, allying with Iwa and Kiri out of fear. The masked man Abaito Uchiha was eventually captured by Minato, stripped of his memories by Yamanaka Jutsu, and reborn as Konoha's feared Sharingan ghost. Finally, Minato gathered the remaining Uzumaki survivors into the village, elevating Konoha's power and dread across the nations. The Akatsuki, as Naruto understood them, never emerged as enemies since Minato granted them sanctuary within Konoha, and they accepted his offer. Nagato eventually rose to become the fifth strongest shinobi in the village, ranking just after Abaito, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Minato himself, while also being one of Naruto's closest friends. Konan, in turn, established her own specialized unit that revolved around her unique paper-based techniques. Though not a bloodline trait, her jutsu were so intricate and advanced that they rivaled Kekkei Genkai. Aimgakure itself was absorbed into Konoha after Hanzo was deceived by the combined forces of Kumo, Kiiri, and Iwa into launching an attack against the leaf. Minato personally intercepted Aim's army and annihilated them, killing Hanzo in the process and claiming the salamander contract, later entrusted to Konan. Meanwhile, Konoha's main forces clashed with the allied villages near the southern border. After 2 days of intense battle, Minato appeared and spread panic throughout the enemy ranks, which finally allowed the leaf to crush the opposition. In that same battle, Minato finished his fights with the 2nd Tsuchikage and the 3rd Rakage, both previously spared, and also slew the 3rd Mizukage, clearing the way for Yagura to become the new leader of Kirigakure. Yagura withdrew from the alliance, declaring neutrality and requesting peace with Konoha, which Minato accepted. The remaining villages agreed to a temporary truce that endured for 10 years. When Naruto turned 13, hostilities reignited. At that time, Naruto was grouped with Sasuke and Hinata under the leadership of Obito Uchiha. While publicly listed as Team 7, within Konoha's inner circles they were called the Prodigy Team. Naruto had already mastered the Flying Thunder God, though not to Minato's level, and his wind chakra control was often compared to Tobirama's skill with water. By 13, he had perfected the Rasengan and created multiple variations, including his own advanced form of the wind release, Rasen Shuriken, which surpassed the fourths in versatility and power. Alongside this, Naruto had signed the Toad contract, mastered over 30 wind-based jutsu, and displayed sealing expertise on par with Jiraiya himself, making him a terrifying force even at his age. Sasuke, often referred to as Madara's reincarnation, was driven by his ambition to eclipse his brother and later by his rivalry with Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. He awakened the 3-Tomo Sharingan at 10, mastered 6 fire techniques before discovering his lightning affinity, and trained under Kakashi Hadake, the so-called Thunder God of Konoha. By 13, Sasuke had chakra reserves surpassing most Jonin, precise chakra control, and proficiency with over a dozen weapons, making him formidable even without adult strength. While trying to rival Itachi, it was discovered that Sasuke's genjutsu could one day reach the level of controlling tailed beasts, though his skill still lacked Itachi's finesse. Many believed his battlefield promotion to Jonin was imminent, with wagers placed on how soon it would occur. Hinata, encouraged by Minato, worked tirelessly to become strong enough to protect both herself and those she loved. Though initially overshadowed by Neji's natural genius, she quickly narrowed the gap and eventually surpassed him by mastering ninjutsu and later, even medical techniques. This made her arguably the strongest Hyuga of her generation, with whispers suggesting she would one day be an S-rank. Combined, these 3 prodigies under the mentorship of Obito formed a team destined for greatness. Their potential was proven during the 3-year war. They grew into some of the strongest shinobi alive, rivaled only by Minato himself. Sasuke awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan and later upgraded to the Eternal Mangekyo after exchanging eyes with his brother. Meanwhile, Naruto achieved mastery over all 5 chakra natures to levels unseen in history and formed a deep bond with Kurama, synchronizing their chakra. Witnessing this, Naruto realized he had to pull away from these alternate visions, knowing that if he indulged in them further, he risked being lost within this parallel life. As he withdrew his chakra hand from the vortex of shifting colors, countless possible futures flashed before him, including many paths involving Orochimaru, though the true extent of Orochimaru's schemes remained hidden. One vision deeply unsettled him, he and Sasuke clashing, only to be granted half of the Sage of 6 Paths power each. After an exhausting battle, they reconciled and returned to Konoha. Yet the other villages, fearing the might of the leaf under Naruto and Sasuke, prepared for war. With Takage's aid and the gift of the Emperor, Naruto exiled both himself and Sasuke to another world to prevent bloodshed. Even so, the remaining nations declared war on Konoha. The conflict devastated the continent, culminating in Orochimaru's rise as ruler after he slew a gravely injured Jiraiya. Out of the hundreds of thousands of shinobi that once lived, Only a couple thousand survived. This vision shattered Naruto. The sheer loss, cruelty, and destruction burned in his mind, worse than anything the tailed beasts had ever been blamed for. In that moment, a tremendous presence, far more powerful than his own, entered the swirling vortex. Turning, Naruto saw a red-haired man holding a staff, his chakra form mirroring his human body, unlike Naruto's hazy, formless figure. He instantly recognized him. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, his ancestor, Taikage's student, and the sage of 6 paths. "What do you think now that you've seen this?" Hagoromo asked, standing before him. "I must prevent that future," Naruto answered firmly after a pause. "Even if it costs me my life, it can never be allowed to happen." "You truly are an Otsutsuki," the sage chuckled. "Of course I am, though I lean toward the saner branch of the family," Naruto quipped. "You refer to my mother," Hagoromo replied, his tone hardening. "She wasn't always as she became. Ambitious, yes, but her madness was the side effect of the chakra fruit." "I thought she was insane from the start," Naruto admitted. "No," Hagoromo explained. "She grew weary of endless human wars and resented lacking the power our clan once commanded. Consuming the chakra fruit gave her a fragment of the primordial imprisoned within the tree, but also a shard of its consciousness, which poisoned her mind. For all that, the primordial still escaped," Naruto countered. "No, it didn't," Hagoromo replied, shocking Naruto. "How can that be? The 10 Tails is still out there. I have part of it sealed within me. What you bear is merely a fragment. A sliver broke free, pure chakra without will, while the rest remains bound within the tree," Hagoromo clarified. "Did you think a prison crafted by the Emperor could be broken so easily?" "Well, yes, the 10 Tails escaped, and none of the other recipients of the Shinju fruit ever had that happen," Naruto said, scratching his head. "That's because the Emperors shielded their minds from the primordial's corruption with their blessings. My mother lacked that protection. The Shinju itself was never good nor evil, merely indifferent to humanity. The Emperors sealed it into the tree because of that indifference." "So why did it taint Kaguya if it was neutral?" Naruto pressed. "Because, like you would, it sought freedom. It underestimated the Emperor's seal and lost a fragment of its power, tiny, less than 1,000th of its strength, but still a loss," Hagoromo explained. "I thought the tree turned into the 10 Tails," Naruto said, confused. "The trunk and branches did," Hagoromo answered. "But the roots remain, secured in the Emperor's palace, accessible only to you." "Oh, I see," Naruto muttered. "Hey, if you were as great as Takagi said, why didn't you inherit the gift of the Emperor?" "Because the divine chakra of the primordial within me conflicted with the Emperor's gift, which is pure human in origin. The two opposed each other, preventing the gift from awakening in me," Hagoromo admitted. "That's rough," Naruto sighed. "Perhaps, but you can't miss what you never had," Hagoromo replied. "Are you this serious all the time?" Naruto teased. "If you think I'm rigid, you should meet my brother," Hagoromo laughed. "So you ascended at the end of your life?" Naruto asked. "Yes," Hagoromo confirmed. "I only unlocked the broken path on my deathbed, though I had mastered many others beforehand. You, on the other hand, unlocked it first." "How many paths did you manage to awaken?" Naruto asked in surprise. "Counting the broken path, I unlocked 6, bringing the total to 13 before my body gave out," Hagoromo answered calmly. "Think you could give me a hand with mine?" Naruto questioned. "No, that is something you must achieve on your own, or perhaps never at all. The paths you uncover may have nothing in common with mine, and the broken path might have just been chance," Hagoromo replied. "Figured it was worth asking," Naruto muttered, shrugging, before his eyes widened. "Wait a second, 13 paths, and even then you still needed your brother's aid just to seal your mother and the 10 Tails, not defeat them, seal them." "Let me share something, but keep it between us," the sage said in a hushed, serious tone. "I could have defeated my mother. She relied solely on brute strength without finesse. Even in raw might, I could match her and emerge victorious. Then why call your brother to help with the sealing? Why not just finish her outright?" Naruto pressed. "Because to truly end her, I would have had to kill her or absorb her completely, body and powers both. Either way, it still meant her death," Hagoromo explained, his voice tinged with anger though Naruto knew he wouldn't direct it at him. "Could you bring yourself to kill your own mother?" "No," Naruto admitted, embarrassed. "My apologies, I let my emotions slip. Even ascended, I remain human at heart," Hagoromo said, rubbing the back of his head much like Naruto often did. Still, something doesn't add up, Naruto continued. The strength you gave me and Sasuke in that other timeline felt nowhere near what you should have had with 13 paths. That's because I misled you. I didn't share half my power, only the strength my sons wielded in their prime, plus a fragment of my own. Enough to let you seal my mother again if she ever returned, but not enough to kill her, Hagoromo revealed. Crafty. And here I thought you were beyond lies and tricks, Naruto said with a smirk. Most have forgotten, but after sealing my mother, I waged war against the demons that plagued the world back then. That struggle gave rise to Ninshu, Hagoromo explained. But Ninshu wasn't meant to be a weapon, Naruto said, confused. Correct. My brother and I intended it as a bridge of understanding between people. Yet, when needed, it could be a defense against beings of greater strength. People lacked the patience to master it, so they twisted fragments of it into what you know now as ninjutsu, Hagoromo said. Even the chakra-boosted Taijutsu Tsunade uses traces back to my morning warm-up routines. You leveled mountains just warming up, Naruto gasped in awe. Of course not. My chakra control surpassed what you call perfect control. I could wield immense power without devastating the landscape, Hagoromo explained. How'd you manage such control? Naruto asked curiously. Through endless chakra control drills, far more refined than what you know today, which were merely child-level exercises in Ninshu. Plus, I perfected my Preta path. To put it in gaming terms, Takagi once joked I always put 20 more points into control over energy, Hagoromo replied. Damn, I seriously need to study that Ninshu practitioner and learn some of those techniques, Naruto muttered. But I doubt you came just to chat. No, I came to see which path you'll walk, savior or destroyer, Hagoromo said seriously. That's it, Naruto raised a brow. And to ask what brought you here, Hagoromo added. Oh, that. I was testing what would happen if I meditated while activating the broken path. As for which path I'll choose, you'll just have to wait and see, Naruto said. Fair enough. Still, the power I've reserved for you will only awaken when you face your ultimate battle with Sasuke, or if my mother is released again, Hagoromo told him. That's reasonable. With the advantages I already have, I won't need it except in dire emergencies, Naruto agreed, deactivating the broken path. The return to his body wasn't unpleasant, it actually tickled compared to the strange sensation of leaving it. Back inside, his chakra bar plummeted until only a sliver remained. He was left gasping, arms trembling as his chakra reserves slowly refilled. For the first time, he had felt the edge of exhaustion so severely. Yet, as the dizziness faded, a grin spread across his face. He realized there might be a third path, one beyond even Takage's and Orochimaru's calculations. Somewhere in the mountain ranges of the Land of Water, inside a cavern where time and space twisted unnaturally, a masked man stepped from a spiraling vortex. Tobi was furious. The Nine Tails had eluded him again. But it wasn't a disaster. His larger plan allowed for many contingencies. The real concern was that Orochimaru had interfered, driving off Kakuzu and Hidden. Not that Tobi blamed them. Only 3 members in the entire organization could contend with the serpent's cunning. As he sat on a nearby chair, Tobi felt a piercing gaze. He turned, sharing and analyzing sharply, and spotted glowing yellow eyes in the shadows. In a blur, he drew his kunai in reverse grip, slipping into a stance. Orochimaru emerged, chuckling, clad not in white robes but full ANBU armor, clearly expecting combat. Ku, what a cold welcome, Orochimaru sneered. If you prefer, I can heat things up, Tobi retorted. Don't be cocky, boy. Your tricks don't change the fact that I can defeat you, Orochimaru said plainly. I can't fault you for believing that, Tobi chuckled. And why is that? Orochimaru asked, brow raised. Because I am Madara Uchiha, the mightiest Uchiha to ever live. Only one rivaled me, and he's long gone, Tobi declared. Fool, he surpassed you in every way if you are truly who you claim, Orochimaru replied smoothly. You didn't come to mock me. What is it you seek? Tobi asked coldly. You'll tell me your true aim for collecting the tailed beasts. Then maybe I'll let you walk away, Orochimaru said flatly. As arrogant as ever, Tobi laughed. It's not arrogance if I can prove it, Orochimaru shot back. You're strong, but I'm one of only 3 alive who can truly best you, Tobi stated. You're mistaken, there are 4, Orochimaru corrected calmly. Ah yes, Georgia, easy to forget with his foolish antics, Tobi sneered. Only partly right, Orochimaru said. The 4th is Naruto. His skill is lacking, but the power is there. And more importantly, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed. You never could defeat me. Tobi's eyes widened as Orochimaru blurred forward, Kusanagi slicing toward him. Only Kamui saved him from the sudden strike. Tobi instantly countered with fire release. Howling Fang, flooding the cavern with blazing fangs of fire. Orochimaru vanished in smoke, reappearing behind with his deadly blood ripper strike. Snakes and taijutsu combined to tear through flesh. Tobi ignited his fists, clashing with Orochimaru before retaliating with a heavy blow, only for Orochimaru to slip away with substitution. Using the moment, Orochimaru unleashed water release. Hydro Crusher, drowning the cavern in a surging wave. Tobi answered with earth release. Guard Shell, a shield worthy of a cage. Explosives detonated, shaking the cavern, but Orochimaru emerged with minor wounds, just in time for Tobi to unleash fire release. Volcano Spark, a technique once thought extinct, born of Madara himself. The blaze should have reduced Orochimaru to ashes, but he countered with fire release. Blazing circulation, clashing flames against flames. He survived, but with burns across his body. The scent of charred snake, nothing compares, Tobi's voice mocked through the smoke. Though I prefer mine well done. Tough luck, boy, Orochimaru smirked. I told you I'm not a boy. Tobi snapped, appearing behind Orochimaru and blasting him away with a fierce kick. Because to me, you're still just a child, Abido. Orochimaru sneered as he drove his fist into Abido's chest, taking advantage of his momentary distraction. Your lineage was difficult to track, but once I secured a sample, matching it with Konoha's records wasn't too hard. And why reveal this now? Abido demanded, narrowing his eyes. You never share anything unless it serves a purpose. I needed a delay, Orochimaru replied with a sly grin before weaving hand seals. Lightning release, electro-turbine surge. A surge of crackling lightning erupted toward Abido. He countered instantly with wood release. Verdant blossom barrier, a technique designed to withstand even a tailed beast's concentrated power. Yet the electricity passed through the wooden vines as if they weren't there, electrocuting him. Orochimaru pressed the attack, hurling dozens of kunai as Abido leapt back. Fed up, Abido's hands blurred through seals, would release, binding decree. Vast roots surged across the battlefield, locking onto Orochimaru and draining his chakra. But when the vines crushed him, his body dissolved into mud. Unfortunate for you, but this is the end, Orochimaru's voice hissed from afar as he emerged several hundred meters away. Wind release, Sovereign's true flight. It was a forbidden technique for good reason. The devastation it caused spared no one, erasing entire squads with its overwhelming pressure. Sunagakure had outlawed it after Orochimaru's single use during the Third Shinobi World War, where the death toll exceeded 50 shinobi. The crushing air pressure consumed everything, grinding matter to dust. Abido, however, mastered time-space manipulation. He slipped away from the impossible, though even his intangibility couldn't fully shield him. The blast scraped him, leaving him with injuries that could have cost him half his body. Such was the might of an S-rank kinjutsu. Becoming intangible again, Abido rushed beyond the enormous crater, large enough to swallow an entire village, and aimed a chakra-augmented punch at Orochimaru. But suddenly his body betrayed him, collapsing paralyzed. Kusanaga's gleaming blade slashed, and instinctively Abido attempted to trigger Kamui, only to cough blood as his chakra refused to obey, his Sharingan fading to normal eyes. I told you, just hand over what I want, Orochimaru said coldly, kneeling beside the immobilized Uchiha. You'll get nothing from me, Abido rasped, struggling to force out the words. You think I didn't plan this, Orochimaru mocked. I knew striking the Uzumaki would lure you back to guard the Three Tails, every scenario accounted for. I won't break under pain. Madara made sure of that, Abido muttered with defiance. Orochimaru smirked. Only someone of Madara's caliber could teach you to challenge Minato, but I don't actually need you to talk. Once I claim your body, I gain your power, your knowledge, your memories. That jutsu of yours can't achieve that, Abido said, unease creeping into his voice. Don't underestimate me, boy. My genius wasn't inherited. I earned it by crafting over 100 original techniques and refining twice as many. The only reason you're still yourself is because my method wasn't perfected yet. You'll fail. My will is unshakable, Obito shot back, though the doubt in his tone betrayed him. Then perhaps try facing Hanzo with barely 2 years of shinobi training, Orochimaru retorted. Come back afterward and tell me you'd survive me in a battle of will. You weren't 13 when you fought him, nor were you some fresh genin, Obito countered. It was propaganda, Orochimaru shrugged. The people needed to believe 3 young warriors had risen near S rank. Naruto's age now same as ours then. We clawed our way up. Without waiting for a reply, Orochimaru sped through 30 hand seals. His body ignited with violet flames, his vessel's flesh burning away as his soul and chakra surged into Obito, fracturing his mask. Inside Obito's mindscape, Orochimaru manifested as a colossal 8-headed serpent, colliding with Obito's Susanoo in a battle that would have annihilated nations if fought in the real world. Obito unleashed jutsu after jutsu, his Susanoo firing relentlessly, but the serpent splintered into countless smaller snakes before reforming, refusing to die. Despite Obito's strength, he couldn't match Orochimaru. While Jiraiya may have been stronger, Orochimaru's brilliance made him unmatched in battles of intellect and will. Against Obito's relative inexperience, defeat was inevitable. With Obito's soul subdued, Orochimaru crushed the white Zetsu clone bonded to the body, leaving behind nothing more than a hollow shell, obedient but stripped of autonomy. Controlling wood release would be trickier, but Orochimaru welcomed the challenge. As Obito's memories fused with his own, he chuckled at Madara's so-called grand plan. It was so basic, so unimpressive, proof he had overestimated both Madara and his pawn. 1 year, Naruto. In 1 year, we'll meet again, and then I won't restrain myself, Orochimaru whispered through Obito's body before vanishing into a vortex with his discarded vessel. Naruto Uzumaki class. Gamer level, 118 exp, 70,000/169,000 age, 16 height, 180 cm weight, 58.3 kg HP, 24,630, plus 2620 chakra, 102,250, plus 22,500 MP, 220,000 Kurama's CP, HP region, 700 sec chakra region, regeneration, HP, 136 sec plus 14 chakra, 3195 sec plus 703 MP, 22,000 sec attributes, energy, 201, plus 50 equals 251 control, 201, plus 50 equals 251 strength, 133 speed, 185, plus 40 equals 225 vitality, 181, plus 20 equals 201 dexterity, 150 intelligence, 221 wisdom, 253, plus 3 equals 256 luck, 120, plus 30, equals 150 special titles, Uzumaki and Namikaze Air, plus 10 INT, plus 15 VIT, plus 10 SBD, plus 30% EXP in Fuinjutsu/Creation Jinchuriki plus 100 HP, plus 100 CP per level Trap Master, plus 10% Trap Stealth, perfect control, energy always equals control due to wood release adaptation, stat points available. 0 funds, 2,665,283, Ryo. A faint flicker of mana brushed his senses, normally negligible, but with his refined perception, Naruto instantly recognized it. The chakra signature belonged to Kakashi Hadake, his unique white chakra shining like a beacon despite being underutilized. Takage's presence, however, remained concealed. His mastery of suppression was honed over centuries. Yet Naruto knew Takage would be essential to guide Kakashi through Uzushiagakure's sealed ruins, where the protective array had once even forced Jiraiya to retreat. Leaving a shadow clone in his place, Naruto waited patiently in the shadows for Takage's lesson. As expected, Takage appeared in a blur, striking the clone before it vanished in smoke. Seizing the chance, Naruto lunged at him at full speed, but even restricted, Takage's speed far exceeded his. With effortless strength, the old warrior pinned Naruto face first into the dirt, whistling nonchalantly while inspecting his nails. Yo, long time, Kakashi greeted with his signature eye smile. You know, training hard, rescuing ladies, and occasionally eating dirt thanks to the old man, same old stuff, Naruto muttered as Takagi released him. You still rush in without thinking, Takagi chided, conjuring a stone chair with a thought and sitting casually. Show off, Naruto grumbled before turning to Kakashi. How have you been, sensei? Not bad, Kakashi replied. Though my clan's not thrilled about you leaving the village. I didn't think anyone really cared, Naruto said honestly. The truth is, most shinobi respect you. But some smaller clans want you gone. So one of their own can become the next Jinchuriki and seize the political influence of both Namikaze and Uzumaki legacies. Kakashi explained casually. I despise politics, Naruto pouted. So dull and annoying. For a second there, you sounded like Shikamaru, Kakashi chuckled. So, you weren't kidding when you said you could let me see my teacher again? Of course. I never go back on my word, Naruto replied, producing a silver disc and pressing it to the ground. A silver portal shimmered open, exuding the familiar chakra of Kakashi's sensei and his wife. Suddenly, dozens of chakra chains lashed out, binding Kakashi before he could react. From within the portal radiated an aura of crushing dread. In an instant, Kakashi was yanked inside with a startled yelp. Naruto just sat down cross-legged, shrugging. Not going in? Takagi asked with a raised brow. Not a chance. If Mom's furious, I'd like to keep the possibility of having kids someday, Naruto replied quickly, shaking his head. And here I thought you were just giving them some space, Takagi muttered, covering his face with his palm. That too, Naruto admitted before turning to him. So, did you get it? Yeah, but Kusagakure might notice they're missing one prison, Takagi said, scratching the back of his head. You overdid it again, Naruto sighed with a drop of sweat rolling down. Not my fault. The warden had the brilliant idea of unlocking it, Takagi replied flatly. Wait, doesn't it normally take a massive amount of chakra? Only something chosen by the gods could even activate it and get what they want, Naruto asked, clearly intrigued. Usually, yeah. But the fool used a forbidden jutsu instead, one that drained every inmate to death just to crack it open, Takagi explained. The thing inside even forced me to push my power up to level 2. Please don't tell me I need to buy more maps, Naruto groaned, rubbing his forehead. Nope, I made sure everything stayed intact, Takagi answered with a wide grin. Sometimes I swear you're the younger one, not me, Naruto muttered. So you admit you're a kid? Takagi asked, a bit too innocently. Ugh, you're impossible, Naruto grumbled before pausing. I met your last student. Which one? I had two back then, Takagi asked curiously. Hagoromo, Naruto answered. With Kakashi, Minato and Kushina Kakashi was slammed into the dirt, dozens of chakra chains pinning him down. The heavy pressure of looming death surrounded him, and when he looked up, he saw why. It wasn't just Kushina glaring at him with fury, it was also Minato. Only Minato's cold eyes and calm expression were far scarier. Kakashi remembered that look. The last time his sensei wore it, someone had begged for death for 3 straight days, before finally being put down by a slow, incurable Rasengan to the gut. And that had been Minato in a good mood, fresh off Kushina agreeing to marry him. Swallowing hard, Kakashi struggled to stand, still bound by the glowing chains. Kushina stormed forward and landed one of her devastating punches, the chains the only thing keeping him grounded. He didn't fight back, not even when she swung again. His only flinch came when Minato calmly scribbled something on a scroll. Why? Minato's chilling voice sent a shiver through Kakashi. Because he's a coward and a traitor, Kushina snarled, striking him again. Dear, stop hitting him while I'm questioning him, Minato said in an eerily calm tone that hinted at something far worse. Answer, I was just a kid myself. I was no role model, you know that. Kakashi coughed blood. That I knew, Minato replied, still writing. I even warned Hiruzen not to hand Naruto to you unless your entire clan was wiped out. I asked why you ignored him for the Uchiha. You did what? Kushina and Kakashi both exclaimed. I did what I thought was best from what I foresaw, Minato said coolly, raising an eyebrow. You wouldn't want a broken, twisted Naruto who made his first kill before turning 6. No, I wouldn't, Kushina admitted quietly. But you still owe me the answer, Minato pressed, not looking up. I held back because if I didn't, Naruto and my whole clan would have been killed, Kakashi admitted bitterly. By who? Kushina asked in shock. Takara, Kakashi said grimly. Damn it, Minato muttered, finally looking up from his scroll. And who's Takara? Kushina demanded, disturbed by Minato's reaction. One of Konoha's ugliest secrets, Minato explained. An S-rank created through a joint project between Danzo and Hiruzen. A program meant to make perfect shinobi powerful but stable. But it backfired, Kakashi continued. Out of 50 candidates, 2 reached S-rank, then butchered the rest along with every researcher there. I thought you killed them, sensei. Imagine my shock when Takara showed up in my home, threatening to wipe out my clan and Naruto if I taught him even a single jutsu before I was cleared. No one threatens my son, Kushina growled, her chakra flaring dangerously. They call themselves Judgment, Kakashi explained. An international group shaping the world through wars they control. The only other member I know of is Ebisu. That's worse than I imagined, Minato muttered, pacing now. You knew, Kushina demanded. Yeah, I was preparing to dismantle them before I died. I even had Orachimaru planted inside them, Minato admitted. Orachimaru, Kakashi blurted. Yes. Took a lot of work to get him in, Minato said seriously. The group's run by 8 leaders, each one supposedly on par with me before my death. Kakashi stammered, unable to form words. As if Orochimaru could beat you, Databeo, Kushina scoffed. I didn't say defeat, Minato corrected with a sly smirk. I said deal with them, meaning sabotage, assassination, plagues, things he excelled at. So what now? Kakashi asked, still reeling from the scale. Now Naruto is our only shot, Minato replied gravely. His gamer abilities have to grow strong enough, fast enough, or he won't survive. He might not even live long enough to fully embrace the title of emperor. You're joking? You mean those old legends of the second moon are real? Kakashi asked in disbelief. Second moon, Kushina repeated in confusion. Yeah, Minato said. The sage's moon was the third. They're not myths. Naruto is the next emperor with all the power that title brings. Gods help us, Kakashi muttered, pale under his mask. My thoughts too, Minato said with a chuckle, laughing alongside Kushina at Kakashi's terrified expression. Now on to something lighter, Kushina grinned, making Kakashi gulp. So, settled down yet? No, Kakashi replied flatly. Which means he's married with kids already, Minato teased, chuckling at Kakashi's scowl. Awa, my little Kakakun's a daddy, Kushina squealed, tugging at his mask as she zipped in front of him faster than Minato's flying thunder god. Sensei, I'll get you for this, Kakashi barked in frustration. Nah, I'm already dead, and this is hilarious, Minato smirked, pulling out a camera from nowhere and snapping shots. Let him breathe, dear, Minato laughed, prying Kushina off him. Kakashi gasped for air, clutching his throat. Not my fault he's weak, Kushina pouted. I am not, Kakashi protested. Sure, let's say that, Minato chuckled, stepping between them. So, who's the lucky woman? You wouldn't know her, she's a civilian. As for the other mothers, they're kunoichi you might remember. Takeda takes care of them all, Kakashi explained bitterly, hating the village's practices. Better than most arrangements, Minato nodded. That's savage, Kushina snapped. Your clan did the same. You're proof of it, Minato reminded, earning a punch to the jaw. So you actually support this, Kushina yelled. Yes, it's part of survival. It kept clans from vanishing, Minato reasoned, rubbing his face. The Senju abandoned it for 1 generation, and their blood only survives through scattered clans now. Or maybe they sought unity and merged willingly, Kakashi pointed out. Read the casualty reports of the wars. Their numbers were pathetic compared to the Uchiha who followed the practice, Minato shot back. So you'd allow it for our son? Kushina demanded. Yes, if you want grandchildren. His power means low fertility. He'll be lucky to have 1 kid even with a harem. But we're off track. How many kids? Minato asked. 2 with Takeda, 4 with Kunoichi, Kakashi said with pride. My oldest is 7. He's like me, though he's got his mom's brown hair and isn't messed up. Perfect. A Kakashi without the dark brooding, Kushina cheered. Sorry, he wears a mask too, Kakashi smirked under his own. You're no fun, Kushina pouted as Minato laughed loudly. Back with Naruto and Takagi, all right, spill it, Naruto said, bouncing with excitement. The ultimate cheat is dungeon creation, Takagi announced. Yeah, but it just hands out powers and stuff. That's not really ultimate, Naruto frowned. Normally, yes, but ID Create has a glitch, Takagi explained. When the 6th Emperor designed this version of the gamer system, he wanted its dungeon function to be more flexible. So what's the glitch? Naruto asked, leaning in. Quite simple, really. It lets you repeat what you unknowingly did the very first time you made an ID, though I doubt you recall it. Just being near those entities' sheer aura was likely enough to make your mind bury the memory, Takagi explained, then smirked as he added, "For a second, I thought you'd uncovered in minutes the secret that took the last emperor nearly a decade to figure out, but it turns out it was nothing more than a kid's excitement for flashy techniques." Well, flashy jutsu are kinda awesome, Naruto admitted, scratching the back of his head with a sheepish grin. They are, I'll give you that. But back to my promise, Takagi said with a laugh at Naruto's response. All you need to do is open an ID for whatever target you're after. You won't gain any experience from killing the creatures, but the benefits are far too valuable, especially since it'll let you practice and sharpen your skills with little effort. I'm still not following, Naruto said, baffled by Takagi's explanation. Not surprising, Takagi replied, grabbing hold of Naruto. ID Create, Energy Recovery Hunting Ground, Level 12. The moment the words left his mouth, the scenery distorted and shifted as Takagi's dungeon swallowed them, dropping Naruto into the center of a colossal canyon stretching endlessly. Night had fallen inside the dungeon, the heavens above alive with countless stars and the faint glow of distant nebulas. The most striking sight, however, was the massive moon hanging impossibly close, dominating the sky with a sapphire glow that drenched the canyon in dreamlike light. A perfect disguise for the lurking dangers hidden in its shadows. It didn't take long for the dungeon to deliver. Out of nowhere, a pale blur lunged at Naruto, only to meet the sharp edge of a spiraling ring. The thing twisted away at the very last instant, moving impossibly fast even midair, something that left Naruto astonished. Landing with a screech, the beast revealed itself. A grotesque fusion of bat and leopard, standing upright, its forelimbs fused with leathery wings. It shrieked again and charged, but Naruto was quicker. At full speed, he slammed his spiraling ring into the monster's face, erasing it in a crimson mist before the dungeon could even disintegrate its remains. Before he could catch his breath, or even register the glowing numbers that appeared where the beast once stood plus 1120 CP/sec, plus 2488 MP/sec, another threat swooped in. A massive silver falcon, its wingspan dwarfing Naruto, with crimson eyes blazing with malice. Naruto leapt back to dodge its dive, countering instantly with wind release. Blast Decree, a gigantic, lightning-fast blade of wind, supercharged by his chakra and natural affinity. The attack carried enough force to cleave a mountain, but the falcon evaded in the final moment, sustaining only a wound as it shot past at impossible speeds. With a flick of its tail, the bird unleashed a swirling wind funnel, eerily similar to Suna's wind release. Tail-smashing gale, a deadly A-rank technique capable of pulping a man with a single graze. Naruto barely dodged, only to be met with gleaming talons ready to tear him apart. Instinctively, he formed a Rasengan, colliding it against the falcon's claws and forcing it back. With one powerful flap of its injured wings, the bird retreated skyward, just as the ground beneath Naruto split open, revealing a towering, 8-legged monstrosity with a cylindrical head as large as a tower. The beast's jaws snapped shut around him, and Naruto's fury ignited. His renegon flared to life. Pouring his chakra and rage into one devastating strike, he unleashed a blinding spear of pure destruction. The beam tore through the creature's skull and continued skyward, vaporizing the falcon into a flaming wreck as it fell from the stars. Landing lightly on the dissolving remains of the giant, Naruto watched as new numbers surfaced plus 1190 CP/sec, plus 2644 MP/sec, and plus 1180 CP/sec, plus 2622 MP/sec. He quickly scanned his stats, realizing the truth, but before he could think further, two dog-like beasts charged him. Their stench of sulfur and flames marked them instantly, hellhounds. Ancient monsters older than demons themselves, cruel and impossibly strong. Within moments, 4 more emerged, surrounding him, fire dripping from their jaws as their snarls filled the canyon. Their presence radiated malice, nearly paralyzing Naruto. Forcing his nerves to steady, he began shaping chakra for a desperate move, something he'd only theorized before. But before he could complete it, the hellhounds pounced. Agony tore through him as 6 sets of fangs ripped into his flesh, burning with their cursed fire. But thanks to his sky-high vitality and years of living with Kurama's corrosive chakra, Naruto's body withstood the pain. Snarling, he activated the Naraka path. With a thunderous rumble, the colossal head of the king of the underworld rose, its expression twisting in fury. "You dare!" the underworld king roared, shaking the canyon. The hellhounds whimpered, trying to flee, but were consumed by the overwhelming aura of the primordial being. "That's what happens when you pick a fight with the king of the underworld," Naruto chuckled darkly, watching as the entity sank back into its domain, satisfied. His smirk vanished as a new foe appeared above, a humanoid monster with 6 glowing insect-like wings, but no mouth, nose, or ears. Its chest split open, revealing a maw filled with jagged teeth that unleashed a violet-pink beam of energy. Naruto, drained of chakra and nearly paralyzed from the burns, could only watch helplessly. But before the beam struck, a radiant golden dome appeared, etched with the ancient Hamsa symbol, an open hand with an eye at its center. The shield absorbed the attack effortlessly. Naruto whistled in awe at the display of power. To manifest a symbol's energy with such precision was beyond impressive. Behind the winged beast, Takagi materialized, his mop of white hair unmistakable. With one crushing punch, he sent the creature flying toward Naruto, who, despite his immobility, managed to summon a great spiraling ring and obliterate it with his last chakra reserves. Takagi caught him, slinging him over his shoulder. Another golden dome shimmered to life, protecting them from a barrage of glowing spheres of destruction. But the barrier, infused with symbolic mysticism, shrugged off the attacks like nothing. With a blink, the dungeon unraveled, and the familiar landscape of Uzu returned. The silver portal remained open, waiting. "That was insane," Naruto muttered, steam rising from his wounds as Kurama's chakra stitched them shut. "But this method really does give crazy amounts of firepower with minimal risk." "Exactly," Takagi replied, "though don't forget, lower-level dungeons make it harder to find what you need. You lucked out with this one being S-rank, so every monster dropped something useful. But heed this warning, never let your regeneration exceed your maximum energy capacity. If it does well, let's just say the result isn't quick, clean, or painless." "Got it. Too much regen equals disaster," Naruto nodded. "So this trick works even for skills." "Yes, and also for crafting materials. But the real kicker is, it lets you safely stack ids on top of each other," Takagi said with a mischievous grin. "That shouldn't even be possible," Naruto exclaimed. "That'd be like rewriting the skill itself or instantly boosting it past level 100. "It doesn't do either," Takagi clarified. "But since this is technically a glitch, it ignores those rules. Just keep in mind, each additional layer makes things exponentially more dangerous and bizarre, especially past ID Create level 100. "Yeah, then I'll be steering clear of that for now," Naruto said firmly. "Even with psionic immunity, that sounds like a one-way trip to losing my sanity." "Sanity's overrated anyway," Takagi laughed. "Haven't you noticed? Every great shinobi is either eccentric or flat-out crazy. Power can make anyone go nuts," Naruto shrugged. "But me, I'm not just a shinobi. I'm the most incredible human alive, Databeo." "That may be correct, but to truly master the hidden arts of shinobi and rise above everyone else, you need a touch of madness. And I see that same spark in you, the same spark your father carried," Takagi said with a grin. "Let's just hope you don't lose all reason and end up shattering the world every time you throw a punch." "So you're saying I'm losing my mind?" Naruto asked, his eyes glimmering strangely. "You're not heading toward insanity, you're already there," Takagi whispered with a conspiratorial smile. "But here's the truth. The finest among us always carry a trace of madness, because only by breaking our limits can we tap into the real heights of humanity." "You honestly believe that?" Naruto asked, uncertainty in his voice. "I do," Takagi answered firmly. "And I also believe you'll become the greatest leader this era has ever known. You said it yourself, the empire is already gone. The only leadership position left for me would be becoming a cage, and that's impossible. I'm outlawed from my village, and the other villages would either execute me or turn me into a stud farm before ripping Kurama from me, Naruto said coldly. You could always establish your own village. You've got both the charisma and the strength to pull it off, Takagi replied. And let's be honest, neither money nor training elites would be a real problem for you. Doesn't that require approval from a daimyo, a hidden location, and at least a handful of clans to sign on? Naruto questioned. The Land of Spring might consider it, Takagi mused with a shrug. Their old shinobi village collapsed from inner conflict, and their new daimyo has been consolidating power. As for clans, well, you've got a knack for winning people over. Maybe something to think about later. For now, our goal is turning Kakashi into a gamer, Naruto said, and he's almost back. So you're a censor, huh? Takagi asked. That explains how you found me. For a second, I thought I was slipping. Nope, I just awakened my sensory skills, Naruto said with a smirk. Funny thing, they were being suppressed by my own chakra, probably so I didn't go crazy from the flood of information. I've heard of that happening in the old days, Takagi admitted. But usually such powers only trigger under extreme pressure. You never showed signs of that. Mine were simply too overwhelming. They were supposed to take 4 whole generations before resurfacing, Naruto said proudly. That's unheard of, Takagi muttered, disturbed. Normally, sealed abilities returned in 2 generations, 3 at the latest, like the ancient song of the decaying star. 4 was beyond comprehension. Well, don't forget, the impossible and I have always ignored each other's existence, Naruto replied with a grin. I'm basically a walking storm of change on steroids. Maybe you're right, Takagi admitted. Still, you'll need to be cautious when using Sage Mode. About that, Naruto said, scratching his head. Sage Mode is permanently off-limits for me. A shame, Takagi sighed. That just means we'll need to intensify your training. No chance, old man, Naruto groaned. I'll teach you Rebirth of the Fallen, Takagi said casually. Naruto's eyes instantly went wide with awe, nearly drooling at the thought. That's seriously over the top, Naruto said once he snapped out of it. But hey, nothing wrong with overkill, right, Kakashi? Agreed, Kakashi laughed, rubbing his bruised ribs. More like a mother's crushing hug, Naruto muttered deadpan. Try a dragon's embrace instead, Kakashi chuckled as he sat cross-legged. She's terrifying, no doubt, Takagi laughed. It makes sense the woman who raised you could bring an emperor into the world. He chuckled again at the pitying look Naruto gave Kakashi, and Kakashi's obvious relief to be safe from Kushina's bone-crushing embraces or her fists. She's amazing in her own way, Naruto admitted. Takagi, if you wouldn't mind. Of course, Takagi said, tossing him a scroll, the very one he had first used his emperor's gift on. What's going on here? Kakashi asked, pausing from trying to mend his sore ribs. My friend, have you ever heard of the Emperor's Special Division? Takagi asked. Yes, though most records only give a vague mention, Kakashi admitted. That's because people don't like the real name, Gamer, Takagi scoffed. But that is the actual title of the unit, and believe me, it's more literal than you'd ever imagine. Exactly, Naruto added. And Takagi isn't just a member, he's the Emperor's personal protector, which automatically made him the leader of all gamers. Wait, that would make him over 3,000 years old, Kakashi said in shock. Not quite, Takagi chuckled. Just 2,300. I think you broke him, Naruto smirked, pulling his hand from the scroll to reveal a glowing purple gem. Wake up, perv, you're not wriggling out of this. Just crush it, Naruto said flatly. Fine, Kakashi muttered, breaking the gem, his gaze locked on Takagi the entire time. Relax, I don't bite, Takagi roared with laughter. No, he just slams you into the ground and calls it affection, Naruto teased, bursting into laughter at Kakashi's horrified face. Few things could rattle his old sensei like this. I think we need a talk, Kakashi said gravely. About why I never trained as much as I should have. What's done is done. No point in crying over spilled milk, Naruto said with his trademark grin. No, you really need to hear this, Kakashi replied, tone sharp and commanding. All right then, Naruto said, smile fading. Konoha Council Hall 2 weeks after Morio's downfall, Tsunade's temper was at its peak, and everyone in the chamber could sense it. It wasn't only the suffocating killing intent pouring off her. or the fact that the wooden table beneath her hand was beginning to crack under what was, for her, a restrained grip. No, her rage stemmed from the council's audacity to summon the daimyo to Konoha without informing her, let alone asking her approval. She should have realized something was off. The seasonal celebrations were lavish even by noble standards, yet she had been too occupied with trying to track down Naruto to pay attention to the schemers in this room. She refused to let them enjoy the sight of her slipping, not in front of the daimyo, who was already en route to the chamber. But she promised herself there would be retribution. Danzo himself was displeased. The civilian members had taken it upon themselves to reach out to the daimyo without consulting him, and he had been far too focused on finding the Jinchuriki for recruitment into route to notice. Judging by Tsunade's expression, she too had been caught unaware. For all his criticism of the Hokage's softness, he had to admit she was crafty, obeying the daimyo's orders but then acting in ways that secured Naruto's value for Konoha, whether official or not. The civilians had overstepped, and their punishment was inevitable. What amused Danzo was the knowledge that they'd rally behind him afterward, decrying the Hokage's tyranny. Kakashi had just returned from Uzu, and his fury at the council's civilian faction was no less intense. They would pay dearly for this stunt. What worried him more, however, were the consequences of Tsunade's wrath. People often called the Uchiha the clan of emotion, but they overlooked the Senju, just as emotional, though often more compassionate. But there was one thing you never did: interfere with a Senju's family. Kakashi was convinced the civilians had involved the daimyo to derail Tsunade's plan to lift Naruto's exile after his efforts during the Morio incident. It didn't help that Tsunade's patience had already been worn thin after 2 years of council obstruction, backed by immense financial power, against her attempts to bring Naruto back. The daimyo soon entered, flanked by samurai and advisors. Though Kakashi's sharp eye picked out at least 3 who were shinobi, an open secret since the Fire Guardian dissolution. Everyone rose, bowing to the smiling daimyo, whose dark eyes scanned the chamber and paused on Kakashi with a faint nod of approval. With a gesture, he instructed them to sit, taking his place opposite Tsunade. His gaze carried silent disapproval as it met hers. "Daimyo-sama, Kano Hagakure welcomes you. May your stay be pleasant," Tsunade said coolly, voice devoid of warmth. "I thank you for your courtesy, but do not let my presence interfere with your business," replied the daimyo with his well-polished smile. "Very well," Tsunade continued. "As all council members are aware, today's meeting concerns the lifting of Uzumaki Naruto's exile in recognition of his contribution during the Morio crisis. Wasn't he the unstable Jinchuriki we banished 2 years back?" the daimyo asked. "Yes," Tsunade confirmed, "but his actions were crucial. He freed Kakashi-san, enabling him to protect the priestess and seal away the demon. Furthermore, Kakashi's report shows Naruto displayed full stability during their encounter. Restoring him would also strengthen Konoha's military," Danzo added. "His presence as a Jinchuriki would deter rival nations from rash actions." "He's still dangerous," countered Amura Takesi, clan head. "We tracked traces of Ninetail's chakra in the Land of Claws in a forest that no longer exists." "Or he was fighting the demon's minions," Kakashi interjected sharply. "As if," scoffed a civilian, "the beast destroys without provocation." "Let's think rationally," Danzo cut in. "The Ninetails was never foolish. If it wasted power needlessly, it wouldn't have taken the first Hokage or the Reaper seal to stop it. Why expose itself if it had gained control of the boy?" "Shimura-san has a valid point," noted the daimyo. "Perhaps," Amura conceded, "but the chakra's scale suggests the beast influences him." "Or Naruto has begun to master it," Tsunade replied, her calm tone masking barely controlled fury. "The fourth did nothing without reason. He would not create a Jinchuriki incapable of control. I keep hearing tales about Namikaze Minato, yet apart from one victory against Iwa and sealing the Ninetails at the cost of his life, I see little worth praising," the daimyo remarked. "You wouldn't hear more, he was efficient and discreet," Danzo smirked. "What Danzo-sama means," Kakashi added, "is that Minato's feats were hidden. The great nations would never admit their Kage were defeated in their own lands by someone so young." "He defeated 3 Kage?" one of the daimyo's advisors blurted out. "Not simultaneously," Tsunade said, "but yes, He often joked none of them could touch him even without flying thunder god, and I believe him. And remember, Kakashi added with an eye smile, he bested the Nine Tails with sheer skill, without bloodline advantages like Hashirama or Madara. So he was our strongest shinobi? Asked the daimyo. Not the strongest, but certainly one of the most skilled and unmatched in sealing arts, Danzo admitted reluctantly. Then his seal on the beast must be the strongest possible, the daimyo asked thoughtfully. Yes. Even Jiraiya, the greatest seal master alive, could not surpass it, Tsunade replied. Convenient for you to say, since the vessel is kin of yours, a civilian accused. A distant cousin whom I've barely known a month, Tsunade shot back, her KI spiking dangerously. Still, for a clan on the edge of extinction, one heir matters, another advisor argued. As if, Tsunade retorted. The Senju bloodline endures, spread across many clans. Our vitality and chakra only grow stronger with time. A biased claim, an advisor smirked. My chakra has more than tripled since I was 14, and its strength only increased modestly, Tsunade revealed, shocking many. And Kakashi here, though he didn't inherit Senju reserves, his chakra is among the most potent in the world. Then theoretically, Naruto could rebuild the Senju clan, even outside Konoha, the daimyo mused. Yes. Even with a civilian partner, his offspring would inherit immense chakra, Danzo answered quickly, hoping to tilt the daimyo in favor of Naruto's return. Interesting, the daimyo murmured. But one thing is certain. The Senju must never leave Konoha. So you'd allow the demon back? Asked Morinaga Nishina, the Fire Country's richest merchant. No, not that far, the daimyo replied smoothly. Better to seize the boy, use him to extend the bloodline, and then extract the beast to place in a more loyal shinobi. And why this path? Hamura inquired politely. He's been absent too long. And I hear his departure left 2 ANBU in the hospital, the daimyo said. They initiated that fight and were disciplined, Tsunade countered. Regardless, reinstating him is too dangerous. And you, Hokage, will not punish the counselors. The boy brought this on himself, the daimyo ordered coldly. Or perhaps the truth is your coffers are too heavy with their bribes to allow his return, Tsunade snapped, her restraint breaking, the table splitting apart. Careful, Tsunade, you tread dangerous ground, the daimyo warned. No, she roared. I've tolerated your games long enough. Leave, take your guards and advisors. You are no longer welcome here. My command is absolute. Any attempt to oppose it will see Konoha crushed beneath the combined might of every army under my banner, warned the daimyo, though inside he was uneasy, convinced Tsunade might simply end his life right there. He knew full well that the shinobi masked, as his guards could at best delay her fists for less than a minute before his bones were reduced to dust. Try it then. Konoha has endured tailed beasts and entire coalitions of shinobi. Your samurai and whatever mercenaries you hire will only be training dummies for my shinobi, replied Tsunade, restraining herself from striking him down. Killing him openly would taint the village's image, but war could be justified without harming their reputation as badly. Tsunade, isn't this escalating too quickly? Cut in Hamura, attempting to calm the tension. Pick your side, Hamura, Tsunade said coldly, her fingers forming a seal that every elite shinobi recognized, one reserved only for the Hokage. The sight made every Konoha ninja present turn pale. You already know where our loyalty lies and always will, Koharu and Hamura declared together, unfazed by the deadly signal. Good. Then Daimyo-sama, take your followers and leave this village while I'm still in a merciful mood, Tsunade ordered. This insult will not be forgotten, growled the daimyo. Nor do I expect you to, Tsunade responded as the daimyo and his men hurried out of the chamber. Perhaps a little hasty, but the look on his face, absolutely priceless, Kakashi chuckled, sparking laughter among the shinobi present. From this moment onward, the civilian section of the council is dissolved. Only shinobi will hold seats here, Tsunade announced firmly. For matters of finance, professional auditors will be hired. Speaking of which, the village accounts of the last 16 years will be re-examined. You don't have that authority, shouted Morinaga. Of course I do. While the daimyo's decree bars me from charging you with treason, nothing prevents me from dismantling this council if it undermines the Hokage's rule, Tsunade said with a dangerous grin. My granduncle Tabarama made sure that clause was written into Konoha's founding charter. The civilian members, unwilling to further provoke her, departed in silence. Even their clan allies did nothing but force polite smiles, all the while cementing the belief that shinobi were treacherous and untrustworthy. Their final thought as they left was clear. The shinobi would pay for this humiliation. Tsunade, however, was delighted. Not only had she found a way to weaken the daimyo's influence that limited their military growth, but she also gained the justification to remove civilian power from the council. The shinobi side would remain, for now, until her authority was completely secure. Of course, she would assign Yamanaka operatives to monitor them. If needed, their minds could be influenced to ensure loyalty. The clan's expertise in psychology made it simple. They could read people as easily as books, with or without jutsu. Fanatically devoted to the Hokage, they would do what was required. Danzo had been useful, which meant he'd bought himself some extra years, but not much. Not even his precious Sharingan would save him forever. The idiot thought I wouldn't notice them. Tsunade's mind spun with strategies as the room emptied. Now all she needed was contact with Jiraiya and for him to bring Naruto back. That same day, somewhere in Kumigakure, the fourth rakage had finally calmed, without destroying half the city. The thought of gaining another Jinchuriki, one with partial control over his beast, was enough to soothe him. In a dimly lit chamber, he stood before the only shinobi he trusted for a mission that could elevate Kumo to supremacy over all villages. "You've been summoned for a task of utmost importance," said A, pacing in the shadows. "The very future of Kumigakure rests on it." "Don't tell me you want us to capture the Konoha Jinchuriki," Darui muttered, uneasy at the thought. "Technically, he no longer belongs to Konoha," Dodai remarked. "But make no mistake, they won't take this lightly. The boy is a walking catastrophe. Not to mention the other nations won't tolerate us holding 3 Jinchuriki. It guarantees conflict, and taming a host takes years," the ANBU commander added. "You forget this is the Nine Tails. Even Juki shudders at its power," B chimed in. "It won't matter," said A with confidence. "Our researchers just finished a seal that cancels a tailed beast's chakra for 15 minutes. That's all the time you'll need to subdue him and apply suppression seals. There's no guarantee he'll comply. And ripping a beast out is fatal even without his Uzumaki heritage complicating it," Darui pressed. "We're not removing it, we're transferring it into a new host," A smirked. "His monstrous chakra won't matter. 12 shinobi, myself and B included, will fuel the ritual." "Ironic," Dodai laughed. "An Uzumaki technique used to end in Uzumaki host, but war is inevitable if we follow through. With 3 Jinchuriki, we'll annihilate all opposition," A declared. "Still, remember, Konoha has survived 3 world wars without ever fielding a Jinchuriki, and their seal masters are unmatched," the ANBU leader warned. "And their monsters are legend, you fool," B added. "Do I need to remind you of our last encounter with one?" "Enough," A snapped. "This is an assignment, not a debate. This course leads to a 4th world war," said a figure in the shadows, Kumo's counterpart to Danzo. "But with the Nine Tails, we'll be unstoppable." "Finally, someone who understands," A said. "Seidu, seriously," Darui sighed. "The last time you backed a plan, it was the Hyuga abduction, and look how that ended." "A small miscalculation," Seidu said smoothly. "If you're so confident, why not join the squad?" Dodai sneered. "I think I shall," Seidu replied, stepping forward, a bald elder with a long beard leaning on his cane. "You're too old for this," A said bluntly. "Tell that to the ANBU platoon I wiped out last week," the old man chuckled. "These bones still earn their S rank." "I don't trust him, you fool," B muttered. "Good, keep it that way. But for the glory of Kumo, you can trust me on this mission," Seidu replied. "Fine, but fail once and you're pulled out immediately," said A. "Understood, Lord Rakage," Seidu bowed. "Dismissed," A ordered, rubbing his temples as the group dispersed quietly. "You know that old fox is scheming if he left so easily," Mabui warned. "I'm well aware," A muttered. "But I can't block him, his involvement is politically untouchable." "Your father was reckless," Mabui said flatly. "He had no choice. Without Seidu's fire release, Suna would have overrun us in the last 2 wars," A replied. "And now the man has too much influence. Nothing we can do, he's an old relic, he'll die soon enough," A muttered. "Hopefully," Mabui said, dropping paperwork onto his desk. "Here's the mission's forms." The Rakage's anguished Nuo, echoed through the village. Meanwhile, in Sunagakure, from a secluded manor in the desert, Gaara stared across the endless sands. The winds tousled his hair as he contemplated the newest challenge to his rule. He could simply eliminate the faction threatening him, but he wanted to rule by respect, not terror. Fear had sustained his predecessor, but Gaara longed for something greater. Love, the kind of devotion Konoha's Hokage inspired. That was why, in his mind, Konoha never needed to unleash a Jinchuriki despite producing them. This rebellious faction wanted Naruto for themselves. Gaara had warned them of the absurdity of the idea. Capturing Naruto, let alone the Nine Tails, was impossible without seal masters of Jiraiya's caliber, something Suna did not have. Even if they did, Gaara would never allow harm to come to his friend. Anyone who tried would face him first, and his strength alone was enough to deter even S-rank shinobi, without ever calling upon the One Tail's power. Hopefully, Kankuro would persuade them that Naruto was on their side, easing tensions before Gaara himself had to step in, which would spell disaster for Suna, since some of its strongest shinobi supported that faction. His sand detected the intruders before they crossed the manor's threshold. The calm expression on his face shifted to sorrow as he realized the fragile stability in Suna had finally collapsed. He stayed seated as three figures landed on the polished wooden floor. "Gaara, forgive us, but this is for the sake of Suna," Baki declared, readying himself for battle. "No, this is about feeding your hunger for dominance," Gaara retorted coldly. "This is about repairing the destruction you and your father brought to our one-sprout home," yelled one of the masked ninja. "Idiots," Gaara chuckled darkly. "Even if you managed to restrain me, you'd never bypass Temari or Kankuro for that matter." "They won't be an obstacle," Baki said, unsealing a scroll that revealed Kankuro's lifeless body. "Temari will soon follow him." "You miserable traitors," Gaara hissed, finally turning to face them. "What will you do now?" sneered one masked shinobi. "This manor is trapped inside a barrier that cancels out your demon's strength. Without the sand, you're powerless." "Narus is right, surrender peacefully, there's no need for more death," Baki added in a softer tone. "Still the fool, sensei," Gaara laughed bitterly. "You murdered my kin and expect me to join you." Sand surged upward like a tidal wave, blotting out the light and drowning the mansion in pitch-black darkness. "The sand was never the One Tail's, it's always been mine. Now you'll see just how much I've evolved in 2 years," Gaara whispered, heightening the terror gnawing at his would-be assassins. "Seriously?" Temari asked in disbelief, glaring at her teacher in the fan arts. "You're a hindrance to Suna's growth as the supreme power," spat Kaizo, a middle-aged man with short brown hair, steel-gray eyes, and a beard streaked with white. He wore the standard Suna Jonin attire, wielding a massive unfolded war fan. "Gaara will destroy you for this," Temari threatened. "He's being dealt with already," Kaizo sneered. "So that's how it is," Temari muttered, opening her fan with resolve. Without answering, Kaizo lunged with A-rank speed, intent on striking her down. But Temari flickered out of existence, his attack slicing empty air. "Wind release, bladed hurricane." Her voice rang from his right, and he instinctively leapt left, straight into the miniature cyclone she'd conjured. By sheer luck and precise chakra control, he survived without being torn apart. Temari appeared before him in a blur, striking with brutal force. Blood spilled from his mouth as he bit his tongue from the impact. With a swift swing of his fan, he unleashed his own wind release, bladed hurricane, forming a massive funnel of slicing winds towering 20 meters high. The flashy attack was unlikely to land on Temari, but bought him breathing room. He got none. Sand arms burst from the dunes, dragging him down. In desperation, he swung his fan downward, unleashing an explosion that blasted a crater, leaving him dazed in its center. A violent gust knocked him off his feet, slamming him back into the dunes. Temari approached calmly, smiling faintly, and struck the back of his head, knocking him unconscious. Kneeling, she sealed him into a scroll and made her way to Gaara's sanctuary. She knew Kankuro would enjoy testing his new truth serum, while she relished using her genjutsu. Perfect siege to trap enemies in false battles before they ever realized they'd lost. Far away, the new Mizukage paced her office, weighing impossible options. Her village was weak, barely clinging to the status of a great power. They had no Jinchuriki, and the only ones they could realistically target were the Six Tails or Nine Tails hosts. Unfortunately, there were no viable leads on the Six Tails, and the Nine Tails Jinchuriki was a far riskier prospect, being tied to the strongest of all tailed beasts. They had no shinobi strong enough to make such a hunt safe. Yet remaining without a Jinchuriki would reveal their frailty to the world, and Kumo would certainly pounce, eager to topple Konoha in their centuries-long rivalry. Her choices were grim. Send shinobi on a suicide mission using the 5-pillar of Heaven's seal to capture the Nine Tails, or face inevitable defeat in war with Kumo. She glanced at the alliance proposal from Iwa, which was nothing more than disguised annexation, something proud Kiri would never accept. With a weary sigh, she pulsed a subtle chakra signal, summoning her most trusted shinobi, Ao. Moments later, a muted thud signaled his arrival. Turning from the stormy horizon outside her window, she faced her loyal comrade. "Have you reached a decision?" Ao asked, bowing to his cage. "You know we're left with no alternative," May replied firmly. "Assemble a team and bring back the Nine Tails." "Then this is farewell," Ao said evenly. "Hopefully not, but in our world, hope is a luxury," May answered with a bitter smile. "Just don't forget your paperwork," Ao reminded her with a faint smirk as he turned to leave. "Wouldn't want the village collapsing just because I wasn't around to nag you." "Only you," May whispered softly. "Only you would say that right now." "You know why," Ao replied before vanishing with a swift body flicker. "I'm sorry," May murmured to the empty room, a single tear trailing down her cheek.